Damn, it's a party. Like I see so many cool familiar faces in here. Like that already means this is gonna be awesome. Um, couple of just ground rules on this. Obviously, like I'm gonna show you guys like a lot of people have asked me about Loom videos and I'm just so you guys know, I'm not like intentionally secretive about it. Like I'm pretty abundance minded, but part of the reason I don't show my specific Loom videos is because I've had dumbasses who like literally steal them word for word and then go and try and send it to my exact clients. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I think it's easier if I just show you guys like we can build one on the spot. I think that's more useful anyway, because I don't think you guys really care about watching me sell as much as you want to sell your own shit. So I'll walk you through that. But this is not like classroom where you got to sit down and shut up. So if you guys got questions along the way, you can ask whatever you got going on and all that. I do have a little 10-minute spiel I'm going to show you guys first, mostly just about what not to do, because a lot of people send me their videos and they're like, what am I doing wrong? And there's probably like two, three things that I see again and again and again that not only make it difficult to sell through video, but just make it difficult to sell in general. And so even if you want to do sales calls, which is fine. Like if you want to, like, I actually think that's the best way to transition to video selling is not to do it in a single leap and bound, but is just to send your clients like a video in advance of when you would normally do a call. And then what you'll find is those sales calls go from like 60 minutes to 5, and because they already know the price and the details and all those kind of things. And so I think that's the best training wheels to sort of transition. And then what you guys will find is, once you get used to answering what sort of questions they ask in that like little 5 minutes, it's only a little tiny step from there to go, um, into doing it completely phoneless. So if you got something that's working, I would encourage you, um, not to break it. Damn, I didn't know I was like, it says I'm at my limit. We can only do 100 people. I guess let's buy some extra space right now. See if I can do this. Give me one sec, guys, here. We broke the internet here. Come on, Loom. Or come on, Zoom. There we go. Yeah, I can't let anybody in right now, so I'll just give me 1 second to get some extra space on Zoom. By the way, you guys see me taking out some credit cards. I saw a funny scam the other day on the internet where chicks were saying to a guy, "Show me how big your thing is. Take a picture of your wangarang next to your credit card so I can use it for scale." And of course, some dumbass horny guy's like, "Sure, I'll do that." All right, is it working? Can we get people in here? There we go. All right. Oh nine. All right. I gotta give Zoom $45 to let all you guys in here. Let's see if that works. Somebody's got the username Batman. What? Okay. Okay, I think that worked. Come on, guys. Let's do it. I'm on jungle Wi-Fi, so it might be a little slow here. Just give me a second here, guys. Okay. Come on, Zoom. Do something.
Recording in progress.
All right. Well, let's assume that's going to work eventually. Let's assume that's going to work, and we'll get into this. I don't want to leave you guys hanging here watching me try and upgrade my space. Like, seems kind of just frozen in time right now.
Order filled.
All right, cool. Let's get into it. So like I said, I got about 10 minute spiel, and then you guys can watch me kind of build these, and like kind of the point of this is so you guys can kind of see the process, do it yourself. Um, you guys can look over my shoulder as I build these. Honestly, probably the two questions you may have that I get asked the most. Number one is, would it work to sell blank? Blank usually being your thing. And the answer is yes. If you can organize a sales pitch. A lot of times people think there's some imaginary price barrier. Like somebody said to me the other day, well, I sell the $1,200 thing. Would it work for $1,200? And you guys are going to see part of it is when we nail the sort of like value proposition at the end of this. Um, it'll work to sell anything really. It's like a big part of it is not that there's some imaginary price limit. It's more like you have to. Let me just see if this actually worked. I don't know if Zoom's going to let us. Yeah, it just seems kind of frozen in time. Okay. I don't know if that actually worked or not. Um, so as mentioned, I don't have anything to sell you guys today. But I'll tell you, Loom works really, really well for selling if you guys have a clear niche.
Order filled.
Um, and you know what your clients actually want, which is the biggest reason, by the way, most people have a hard time selling their stuff. I'm going to show you guys some tools that'll make your life easier. Just a couple of notes. As I mentioned, I've probably realistically shown this to a few hundred people who have actually like gone in the real world and done it. I'm hoping some of you guys will be that next because, like I said, who gives a shit if I can close? Like, I don't think the magic of this is watching Frankie Finn do it. I think it's what you guys is you're really answering what a Loom video is more than anything. It's the 80/20 of a sales calls. It's the questions they're really trying to ask you, what am I going to get? How long is it going to take? How does this work? What do I get for it? How much is it? How do I get started? And those kind of questions. Um, so I'm hoping that some of you guys are going to take this run with it. And so this is my like cheerleader moment, but like you can do it too. Like the people who've also closed in video, they don't have some sort of like magic secret sauce that you don't. Um, and another question I get asked a lot just because I want to answer one video or the same video. My usual process is the first 5 or 10 times I send it out, I I make sure that like I personalize it, and so I make custom videos. And then once I get used to people saying yes, it's just the same video over and over and over. And that's kind of the magic is you don't have to like reinvent it every time. A lot of people ask me, when do you send the video? There's more than one way to be right about this. So like, I'll show you as long as you nail the most important detail, which is actually knowing what the person on the other side of the video wants. You can actually break a lot of the rules, send it out a sequence, but I'll show you like my preferred sequence. And then, as I mentioned, everybody asks me, can I sell this? Can I sell that? Will it work for this? Will it work for that? Everybody thinks their niche is different. Oh, I sell to landscapers. They wouldn't buy through video. And you're wrong, by the way. They buy all kinds of things without talking to people. Just like I just bought or trying to buy some Zoom extra space I didn't need a phone call to do that, right? So, I'll show you how I like to do it, which is I start every sort of sales journey with what I call a hand raiser, which is getting people to say, I'm interested. Before I send them a Loom video, I like them to get to buy in through information to like the basic process. So like for example, if you help them with Google reviews, say you do it for plumbers, I would want the plumbers to realize that before they even get to my Loom video, that the best way to grow their plumbing business is to get lots and lots of Google reviews so that by the time they get to a Loom video that's going to show them how to do it, and show them how we're going to help them, that they're basically bought into the idea. And I wish I could tell you in a perfect world, I never follow up with people and people just like automatically ninja hurl credit cards at me. But there is going to be real world follow up. And then obviously when you do this, you're gonna make sales. And then I think what sorry, I'm just gonna mute whoever that is. I think that mine, there we go. I think this is not talked about enough in our internet space. Is like, yeah, you got to have money, you got to pay bills, but if you really want to compound this into long-term wealth, which very few internet marketers do, you got to buy assets. So I got a picture of gold, silver, Bitcoin, real estate, shit like that. I think the goal of this is not only to build an automated sales thing, but to like multiply this. For me, personal goal, I want to be able to retire my kids. And so that's kind of the gist of what we're doing. So let me show you a couple of the mistakes people make, and then you guys can watch over my shoulder as I build one of these. This is like 5-10 minutes here, but I think most people just automatically assume that every business wants more customers, more sales, more leads. more patients, more. And I'll tell you, there's very specific reasons why that's not true. And one of the simplest reasons is a lot of us work with local businesses and they just simply have bigger overhead than we do. And so a lot of times they get certain customers, clients, patients, whatever, where they literally don't make any money. So we were doing this at Sam Carlson's event, and um, there was a chiropractor in the room named Josh, and he had like transitioned to being an internet marketer. And I asked him, I said, um, I said, Josh, can you just confirm what I'm saying? And he said for him that sometimes he does these $29 adjustments for people who came from the mall. And he's like, after I pay my staff, my overhead, I literally make nothing. I hope they buy more later, but I literally make nothing. So when you just shout from the rooftops, I'm going to bring you more people. Um, that's not, and not only that, like it's also like 1,000 other asshole marketers before you have ruined it. So one of the biggest mistakes people make with Loom videos and in real life presentations is just assuming that more is better. I'm gonna bring you more customers, more clients, more patients, and blah blah blah. If you do that in a Loom video, you're probably not going to convert very well. You also won't convert very well in a sales call either. Another thing people have is what I call like kind of like a surface level understanding, um, which is they don't actually know what problems the clients are facing. And you guys are going to get access to a tool I built that will do all this research for you in about 10 seconds. I'm happy to just share that with you. But this person says I solved the client's problem, whatever's stopping them. Um, Another person said we were on a Zoom call and we said, "What problem do you solve?" It says it's unstable. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Um, this was Vince. I'm picking on you a little bit, but new patients, new patients, new patients, right? Like they actually don't want just new patients, new patients, new patients, like most people think. Because as mentioned, some of those patients are a pain in the ass. Some of those patients, they don't make any money.
I'm gonna put my earbuds in.
All right, we got to mute. I think that's you, Bob. I'm going to mute you too. Um, our plug and play system works, leads to ensure that every single dollar you're spending, by the way, plumbers and dentists and um, lawyers and so forth, they don't sit up stressed in the middle of the night going, I really hope every single dollar and every lead I'm going to try and convert works. So I see people missing the mark with what they're offering. And they're just like literally, they're just not calibrated. So, like this person says, struggling with backlink strategies. Like, what percentage of dentists do you think are sitting in the middle of the night going, oh my God, I'm just struggling with backlink strategies? Like, the answer is zero, just so you know. So, when you do stuff like this, sorry, I got to mute somebody. I'm not sure who that is. Might be you, Jeff, just because it shows you at the top. I'm going to mute you guys. Just another thing people do, and I see this like in videos, in websites, in their presentation, is you think you're selling a service. Yeah, I just bought the fucking space. You wouldn't let me. Here, I'm going to kick out some of the bots since this isn't working. Sorry, Derek. Derek, your note taker. Get the fuck out of here. Put in waiting room. That's better. Keith's note taker. You're going to the waiting room too. There we go. We'll let Bob in. Um, so a big issue, like I'll see this in Loom video, um, where they'll people will say at the start of the video, they'll say, I want to talk to you about my service. I'm making this video to talk to you about my service. And just so you know, if you start a video like that, you're not going to make any sales because in their mind, they're not buying your service. They're buying something that is much more like fundamentally in their own self-interest. So I'll see this on like websites where people list their services, citation building services, fully managed local SEO, Yext replacement. Again, how many dentists do you think woke up in the middle of the night and said, I really need a Yext replacement service? I really need citation building, right? That's not how they think, and that's not what they think about. So, we do Google My Business, local citations, directories. A big reason why so many people have such difficulty is they think clients in their mind are buying their service instead of what that service does for them. And it sounds like a small detail, but it's really one of those like, things that swings a big door. Let me just kick out another bot or two here. Whoops. Participants. All right. Recorder. Go into the waiting room. Read AI. Go on to the waiting room. There we go. All right. Um, We got actual people. We got Andrew. There we go. All right. So, I wanted to show you things that are kind of just like that I pulled from the Facebook library that are more on point. So this is get featured for 97 bucks, right? Like it's a clear outcome. You're going to get featured. This is a problem one, suffering from knee pain. It's like clear what problem it solves. Freeze your fat away with cool sculpting. I used to sell a lot of this back in the day, right? Freeze your fat away. In 4 words, it's clear what they're going to get. It's not about the machine. It's not about the process. Um, this one says, where was it? We'll get 100 people showing up to your first online webinar. This one is we'll get you 30 qualified appointments. And they could make this stronger, by the way, if they were clearer about what kinds of appointments. And then the other mistake I see a lot of people make is they think you're supposed to tell people about who you are instead of like what you're going to get done for them, right? Like if I had a lawn cutting service, imagine I came to you and I said, you know, Frankie's Lawnmower Service. We mow lawns. We have the latest and greatest lawn mowing equipment. We use only environmentally sustainable fuel. We are qualified and trained and certified. And at the end of the day, you just want to know, like, can you cut my grass and how much, right? Like that's all you really want to know. So I see this like where most people they're trying to tell people who they are instead of what this will do for you. Anyways, I've got a couple of industries. Um, that I'll show you guys an example of doing this. And this may fundamentally actually change your service and how you kind of offer it to people. Let me see if I can get Peter in here. So I'll put a link for this for you guys so you have this in chat. But this is my kind of like secret resource that I built for knowing what they want in any industry. So I picked a couple of the ones that you guys um, like a couple ones that I know personally, like restoration and personal injury, where I've sold stuff. And then a lot of the ones that you guys sell in dentists, bathroom remodeling, contractors, whatever, med spas, roofers, HVAC. So let's, for example, I'm going to click this one here. You click the starter prompt, and I'm going to go water damage restoration. Okay, so just ask you what your niche is. And what this will do is it'll show you the problems that they're actually experiencing. So, like, I'm making money, but I can't pay myself. My guys are sitting around waiting for a storm or a flood. We get low margin cleanups when we really want full mitigation and rebuilds. It's feast or famine around here. We get tons of work when it rains and we're bored when it's not. We waste time with bad leads. This is what they're actually doing to generate business referrals from plumbers, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I can tell you being in these industries and actually talking to this guy, this is like insanely accurate. Listing on Google Maps, Yelp, Home Advisor organically for emergency water damage near me, handing out flyers, chasing property managers. And this tells you, by the way, there's always something to like about or not to like about what they're doing now. They're chasing adjusters. They feel like they're in sales, not restoration. They spend a bunch of money on ads. They're tired of being reactive and always on call. They're seen as, just another cleanup crew. So this is the real magic right here of how to come up with services that they actually want is these kind of questions when they're asking, how do I attract high dollar mitigation and rebuild jobs, not just small leaks? How do I keep my crew busy even when there's no storm? How do I stop relying on plumbers and adjusters for every job? Is there a way to get qualified, ready to pay customers who aren't just shopping around? How do I make sure that it actually pays off and doesn't drain me? And then this will show you the competitors that they're worried about, like who scares them locally, who they're afraid of nationally, who scares them online, and then as well, like the most desirable kind of work. And this is usually where I build my services, by the way, is I focus on not just more, but specific things that are high value to them. So high margin insurance jobs. So they mentioned they're interested in full mitigation. So I'll show you an example if we were to start a presentation on this. Let me just do this actually on my phone real quick. Okay. I'd like your help with creating a visual image of a form fill on a website. This image is to show to a water damage restoration contractor. Can you generate a system prompt? What I would like you to do is to show an email where the person has filled out a form and has a full water mitigation job and have an appropriate message for somebody who's in that situation. Before we begin, can you ask me whatever questions you need to get to the best possible output? So what I'm doing here, guys, just so you know, is I would build my service around like we're going to help you get these full mitigation jobs right here because it says like this is one of the things they want. And I've learned from years and years of doing this that they understand one of something better than millions. So what most people do is they want to show how many leads and how many things they'll get. But I've learned that if you can show them just an example of one person who's the right fit, um, that's usually a better example. So it's asking me some follow-up questions. Let me just answer them real quick. Yes, the purpose of this is to help sell lead generation services. Um, let's do a flooded basement. Um, stress homeowner needing help ASAP. Um, I think they should have photos attached and urgency, like please call immediately, which should be a website form submission notification. I want it to look ultra realistic. It should show a desktop inbox. Actually, no, let's make that a mobile phone notification. Can you actually show the phone and the notification popping up on the screen? I want the lead to imply that it's a high ticket job. Um, should the contractor's name just put ABC water damage restoration for now? The owner should sound slightly distressed and emotional. I want them to say they already tried calling someone else and got no answer. Um, can you blur name, phone number, and email, but just imply that they're there? Yes, it should include photos. This image will be used in a pitch deck. Okay, so I generated a prompt because I want to show you guys a lot of times people say, well, I don't have tons of case studies and proof, and you actually don't need it at all. You just have to, so I'll come back here. Let me just refresh this right here. So it's actually generating this right now. Sorry, guys, my internet's a little slow right now. All right, let's try refreshing that one more time. Let's go here. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to do this on mobile real quick. So what I'm doing, just because you guys can't see this, I'm going into the image generator and I'm putting in the system prompt that it generated. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create an example so they can see um, an example of like what kinds of jobs I plan on bringing them. And by the way, most of you guys, the best thing to show them is just an example of like one lead that filled out a form on their website. And part of the reason I show this visually is because if you show this visually, they'll understand what you're going to do for them 100 times faster. Okay, just removing some of the extra stuff. All right, so we're generating an image right now. All right, let's see if that worked or not. So we just got to wait a second, but I'm going to show you guys an example of one of these images. And this is probably the most important part of this, just so you guys know, is the beginning and the end. If you can show them something you want, that they want, in their case, this is like, a $10,000 job. And they also know that they don't have to wait a long time on these jobs from getting paid from insurance. Like this is going to be way more appealing than if I just say more leads, more sales, more customers, and kind of like a trust me, bro vibe, which is how a lot of marketers kind of do this. All right. So it looks like it's creating. there we go. So we want to show them something specifically. So if I was building this presentation right now for restoration, whoops, why did that not work? Copy image. Let's try that again. There we go. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but person says I woke up several and it's got some weird AI stuff. I probably regenerate this, but you can see they're on their phone as they got a new lead, and somebody says, I woke up with an incess of water in our basement. The sump pump looks like it failed. The waters, we tried calling another company, but they never answered. We need help immediately. Please call as soon as possible. And they send pictures of their job. Right? You see how this makes it real for people? And when I start these presentations, by the way, what I'm not doing is going, hey, I'm Frankie, and I'm going to tell you about our services, which is how a lot of people, when they do Loom videos wrong, do it. I'm saying, hey, I'm Frankie, and in this video, you're going to see how you can get, um, full mitigation jobs like the one you're seeing right here sent to your phone, however many of them. So, what's the image generator, GPT or prompt? It's reading your mind. Yeah, we'll do Kairos in a second, actually, if you want, so you can see exactly. Let me just see if those are all note takers. We got Simon hanging out all by himself. Poor Simon. Um, so how I generated the image is just inside of ChatGPT. Um, you can click on here and go to images, and then you can like put in a prompt and it'll generate an image. Also, you can also just like fill out a form on your own website and email it to yourself. Because I hear people say, well, I don't have clients yet. I don't have case studies. And you actually don't need that. You can totally just email yourself and then take a picture of it. So I'll show you just like a real quick example so you guys can kind of see this. Um,
I love you und ich würde gerne mitkommen, aber ich will alles in mein Business stecken. Ich will nicht
Ich weiß,
irgendwie.
deswegen diese T-Shirt.
there's Simon talking some German there. So an example of this, by the way, just so you guys know how most people get this wrong, is I was talking with Mark, who's in our mastermind. He's in Australia, and he was generating kitchen remodeling jobs using Facebook ads. And I said to him, I said, like, what's a typical result? And he went and pulled up the Facebook dashboard, and he was trying to show contractors dashboards. By the way, what percentage of general contractors do you think understand Facebook dashboards? The answer is zero, in case you're wondering, or close to zero anyway, right? But what I did is I showed him, well, show me an example of a lead. And so we opened up his inbox and I took this screenshot for you guys to see. And it was somebody who said, I'd like to inquire regarding a kitchen renovation, a quote, and they sent a picture of the kitchen, right? I'm like, that's the start of the Loom video right there, right? And part of this is you guys have to understand that most business owners, they don't fucking believe us. They don't fucking believe us. They think we're full of shit. So if you don't like show them some kind of evidence that like, what you're talking about is real, if you just say more leads, more sales, more customers, they don't fucking believe you. Um, Other Germans there, yeah. Okay, hold on a sec. By the way, you guys can ask questions whenever. This is not like just a one-way dealio. But you see how like I'm starting this now. I'm showing them an example of a real job. Obviously, I'd probably like clean this up because AI has some like funny shit going on there. Um, but nonetheless, they can see exactly what they're going to get. And then I always say like micro first, macro second. So micro first is this is one person who's going to reach out to them that I'm going to bring them. And then macro is if I have that data, I might say you'll get 50 to 100 of these every month or however many you can actually generate. Um, let's do another one real quick. So, do you guys want to, would you rather see me just like do a couple examples at the beginning, which I think is the most important part, or would you rather me just go through one whole presentation complete and then we'll go back to the beginning and show some more examples? I'm cool either way.
More examples. This is fantastic what you're doing, Frankie.
Yeah.
Uh,
All
I'm
right.
having to put a bag over my head, hyperventilating.
All right. So let's I got a little bit of both, but you guys okay, where do we go here? So we were doing the market research chat. So I'm going to do another example. I'm going to say, can you do dentists? So dentists, I'm booked, but not profitable. I've got hygienists with empty chairs. By the way, um, one of the first Loom videos I ever helped somebody else create. Um, where did I put this? Not in that folder. Sorry, give me 1 second to find this, guys. Image, is it Loom? No. This is me trying to find my own shit. There we go. Oh, it was here. The dentist said to us, they said, I spent like $40,000 on a website that looks like Vogue magazine for teeth, and yet the hygienist chair is empty. So this is how we started the Loom video, exactly like this. Hey, did you spend $40,000 on an expensive website, and at the end of the day, the hygienist chair is empty? And by the way, why do they care that the hygienist chair is empty? Because they're losing money. It means they're losing money. They're paying her, but they're not getting paid themselves. So too many whitening and cleaning patients, not enough crown or implants. By the way, this is one of those things where if you just say more leads, more sales, more customers, more patients, in this case, a lot of the whitening and cleaning stuff, they don't even make any money on, and they have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks to get paid. So we have slow season where production drops off. People ghost us after talking about treatment plans. Um, so you can see all the, the things they're doing, what they don't like about it. How do I get full mouth or implant cases without selling? How do I stop relying on insurance plans that kill my margins? So this is the things they really want to sell: implants, Invisalign, veneers, full mouth reconstructions. So I'm for example, like let's say I have a Facebook ad service and I'm going to help them sell Invisalign. Let's generate a little prompt right now for Invisalign patients. This is very formulaic, just so you guys know. But let me just put this in right here. New chat. Can you help me generate an additional system prompt? This is similar use case, but this time we're doing it for a dentist. We are going to be running Facebook ads for them, and we would like to show them an example Invisalign lead that came through Facebook. Before you begin, can you ask me whatever questions you need to get to the best possible output? Okay, so it takes a second. My phone is going. I usually like to speak it because it's easier to kind of do that. Yes, the main purpose is selling Facebook ad lead generation and showing lead quality. Um, let's do it in adult professional, fixing their smile for career confidence. I want the lead to imply that it's a premium case. I like a Facebook form submission. Um, I'd like the patient to upload a photo of their existing teeth selfie. Very believable. The patient should sound slightly insecure but motivated and ready to start. They should mention they've been thinking about this for years. Can you make this an older patient looking for treatment in the near future, has insurance, willing to finance, has availability next week? You can use ABC Dental. Same approach as before, blur the sensitive details, and yes, display it on a smartphone as a notification. Actually, maybe you could do split screen, showing a Facebook lead and a phone alert. Let's do that. It should remain ultra realistic. And the dentist should look at this and feel like I want more cosmetic patients. The patients should feel like they found the right dentist. And yes, I want the system prompt built so we can adapt it later to other treatments like veneers, implants, and whitening. All right, so it's generating us a system prompt. Just give it a second. By the way, I don't know if you guys know that, but you can use AI to generate the prompts to create stuff with AI. I usually give it a rough idea and then say, ask me lots of questions. Yeah, clarity question, Bob, 100%. It's the specific leads they want. As a screen froze for anyone else. Med spa example would be great. Yeah, we're getting to med spa next, Eric. Would this kind of image be effective, do you think? Yes, Bill. It's a good image too, because that shows them exactly like kind of what they're gonna um kind of see from their end. Yeah, Matthew's here. Cool. Okay. So let's see if that worked. All right. Hopefully when we refresh this, I'll get my dental prompt here. Whoops, that's not the right one. Is that the right one? No, that's the right one. Okay, there we go. So what we're really showing them is a real like inbound patient. Yeah, and to Bob's question, by the way, this is what most agencies miss is they don't just want more leads, they want specific types of leads. They want specific types of people. In this case, we're showing them um like what is it, Invisalign that they said they wanted. So we're going to show them an example. So we're going to go ahead and generate this. This is actually, by the way, like 70 to 80% of selling with video is if they can visually see something that they really want, that's really desirable, and you show it to them in an image in a way where they get it very, very quickly. Like 80% of the sale is made right there. It's like it's a very visceral, gut level, ooh, I want that kind of reaction. So you know, obviously I'm not going to spend hours on these. Like you may want to tweak these images and stuff later, but I want to give you guys some examples and different industries you guys are in so you can see this. And almost always, by the way, um, can I do a new Google review service example for a local business? Yeah, but I would say like you're already, if you're really broad with just like your target client is any local business, you're gonna have a hard time selling, period, and through video. Yeah, we'll come to that after, Anish, like when to send them the video. But I'm telling you, you can break a lot of rules if you actually have something they want. Right. So a lot of people ask me, when do you send it and stuff like that? And they're asking the wrong question. Like they're asking the technical stuff of like, you know, what do I say next? And I understand those questions, but if you don't have something they want, I don't care what order you send it in, it won't work. The flip side of that is if you have something that like, oh my God, that's exactly what I need, um, you can make a lot of mistakes. So like we have people who I don't recommend, by the way, just sending Loom videos to strangers and going buy my shit. And yet we have people who do that successfully, right? Like that to me is the dating equivalent of just, you know, let's get married. All right. So let's do right here. Did it again. Copy image. Let's try that. Okay. So this is if I'm selling a Facebook lead service and I'm going to help them get Invisalign patients, I say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to run campaigns on Facebook and you're going to get people interested in Invisalign. And obviously, like on a slide, I would make this bigger. Let me just zoom in for a sec so you guys can kind of see some of the text there. I've been thinking about fixing my smile for years. My teeth shifted after braces when I was younger. It started affecting my confidence professionally. I finally feel ready to do something about it. Want to explore Invisalign options. I found your office on Facebook and your reviews made me feel like this might be the right place. I have an insurance and I'm open to financing if needed. I'd love to schedule a consultation soon. Right? As I've said, they understand micro better than macro. And micro is show them one, don't show them a million. Everybody wants to show them the millions of leads and the hundreds of thousands you made them and the 87 inquiries. But I'm telling you, they better understand a single person. And then you can contextualize the micro with the macro. So if I was running this as a Facebook ad, I might say, typically we spend 3,000 a month. And, for every $50, you'll get an inquiry like this. So you might get, what's that? 20 inquiries like this month, right? But I always show them the micro first, right? And it's really important that we make this a picture. If you don't make this a picture, like Loom videos don't work the same way. And by the way, you guys are like, I want to illustrate, you guys are doing this on sales calls already. You just usually it takes you 45 minutes to explain to them what you're going to do and how long it's going to take to get there. But if you do it with an image, it allows you to skip like 45 minutes of that because they understand what you're going to do for them like immediately, right? Like if I'm showing this to a dentist, he understands like a person from Facebook is reaching out for Invisalign and they're going to get a notification on their phone. Um, let's move med spas up since Eric asked about med spas. We'll do med spas next. All right. So let's see if we can go back to the market research thing. Where are we at? Here we go. Can we do med spas next? By the way, if you guys missed this in the chat, you guys can, or you're getting here late, you guys can totally have this tool. How about financial services, paper lead, solar, criminal defense lawyers? Yeah, we'll get to all those in just a second, so you guys know. I wanted to hit some of the bigger niches. AI voice or DBR example. See, this is like what I said, why most people struggle, Saji, is because you're starting with the service and the solution, not with the people and the problems and what they're trying to do. So you have to get really clear on who's going to come through your database reactivation. Or with your AI voice, like what kind of people are going to call them and schedule with them, right? That's the outcome that you're creating. And also, by the way, you can show the problem aspect with AI voice where the spam calls they get, calls from Angie's List, calls from Home Advisor, whoever that kind of person is in their industry. But let's look at med spas real quick here, guys.
No.
Oh yeah, of course I tell the yeah, I can show you guys AI voice agents, but again, this is all like if you're doing this for a plumber and we're selling AI voice agents, we're not selling AI voice agents. We're selling what the plumber wants. So like there's a tendency to think that your thing is different and it's not. You have to show them, hey, I'm going to get you this kind of emergency call or whatever. So here's problems med spas. I'm booked with $99 facials, but not $1,200 filler package. We have days where my injector or esthetician just waits around. Leads come in, but they ghost after they consult. I'm constantly running promos just to stay relevant. Our ads get clicked, but it's none of the right people. And this tells you what they're doing, what they don't like about it. And, the questions they're asking them. So how do I attract ready to book injectables or filler clients? How do I stop competing on price? So, for example, injectables, Botox, Dysport, fillers. So let's like if I was building a service, by the way, from scratch, instead of like we do Facebook ads or we do AI voice or we do database reactivation, I would focus on if I'm going to do a database reactivation, I'm going to aim it at the type of person they most want to get. Right. So this is why I say like this is all about bringing them the right kind of people. So for me, I would do this around fillers. So I'm going to say, let's go back to this one, right? Was it this one or that one? Let's do this on here. Can you help me to generate a similar system prompt for a med spa? And we're going to be generating them fillers. And this will be for a database reactivation service. So we're going to email their list and we're going to help them to book filler patients. Before we begin, can you ask me whatever questions you need to get to the best possible output? But one of the big, like I say this, you're not selling your service. Like one of the biggest mistakes people make with videos and calls and all of this in general is they say, hey, let me tell you about our database reactivation service. You know how many plumbers woke up in a cold sweat saying, I really need database reactivation today? The answer is exactly zero. So you really want to focus on like the outcome of you run the database reactivation. Who are you going to bring them? You install the AI voice solution. Who is going to come through the phone call onto the other side? Anyways, it's asking me some clarifying questions. I'm just going to answer these real quick. Um, I want the med spa owner to think these are easy bookings. Um, let's do lip filler in this example. Um, it's a Botox patient upgrading to filler. Um, I want to imply multi-syringe premium treatment. Um, I like the email slash SMS response combo shown on a phone. I think the patient should sound slightly self-conscious about aging or volume loss. The patient should mention an upcoming event.
Like a research bot.
We should include a patient selfie. We can put a placeholder name, ABC Aesthetics. Yes, blur that info. I like the split screen. Med spas are very brand sensitive. It should feel luxury and high-end aesthetic. It should imply VIP patient return offer. Previously treated at clinic and mentioned their last visit date. And yes, we may adjust this later for other additional treatments. Yeah, I can't iterate that detail enough because a lot of times you think you're selling your service. You're not. You're selling what's going to happen for them. And by the way, what's going to happen for them is different for every industry. If I ran Facebook ads in 10 different niches, the result for a plumber and the result for a dentist and the result for an attorney, they're all going to be different. Even though, like, the service itself is the same. All right. So let's just give this a second. By the way, I wasn't previously using AI to generate these images, but we had James in our fast starter do this. And as soon as he started using these, people started paying him immediately. And the exact words they used were, that sounds exactly like what we need. So if you guys want to play around with this and have your presentations go, that sounds like exactly like what we need. By the way, why don't I show him a Facebook ads dashboard with like, $12 cost per lead and 175 bookings? Why don't I show them that?
Not familiar.
What's that? Say that again.
I said it's not familiar to them.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't think about
They don't
Facebook.
care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Um, yeah, I'll show you a Shopify store owner in a second, actually, Simon. If I was going to do it, like, so if you think about how a sale shows up in a Shopify store owner's world, they all have an app on their phone and it literally goes ka-ching, ka-ching every time they get a new sale. And so what most people want to do is tell them about the deliverable. Go, I'm going to run a database reactivation. I'm going to send some emails. We're going to run some ads for you. And you really need to focus on it on the next cha-ching on their phone, which is what they want to see in their world. HVAC contractors. Yeah, I got them on the list. Do you have an AI prompt examples that you can share with us? I don't know. I'm just making these up on the spot. So I don't know, but I can templatize this if you guys want. More customers without spending money on ads or additional work. See, you got to get specific on which customers, Andrew, if you want to make this like really work. Can we get the prompts? It's not real to them. Exactly. Yeah, they don't care. Yeah, selling features and tools and AI, they don't care, right? Like they just like if I was going to mow your lawn, you don't care about what kind of like lawnmower I use. You don't care about the premium fuel that's inside of it. You just want to know, like, are you going to do a good job and fucking mow my lawn? How long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? That's how they feel about our stuff. So here's an example. I guess it's still going. Let me refresh this. It's probably worked. Oh, it's still going. So it mentioned, by the way, which is an important detail with like med spas, they're very visual oriented. So here's what I'm showing them in this case is somebody who filled out a form and said a lip filler on a presentation. Like, we're going to run an offer to your past people for lip fillers, and you're going to get people that show up just like this. Right? That's our offer in a simple visual picture, by the way. Could I share the med spa prompt? Can I use a specific method to book my client sharpening customers? Of course. Show them an example of a sharpening. So I'm overthinking that they'll want to know everything I'm going to do. Of course. There you go. I like it, Bob. You can butter me up anytime. Um, I want to, I'll come back to these examples because I actually think this is the most important part is you can visually show them something that they actually want in a picture. 80% of your sales job is done in about 3 seconds. Right? If I'm talking to a restoration contractor and they have cash flow issues and their guys are slow and they're not selling enough and they really wish they could get those bigger jobs, and now I show him a picture of a bigger job and say I can bring you these, like he basically has creamed his pants in about 4 seconds. Where if I'm doing this for a dentist in this case, and they're just getting like small little treatments and they have gaps in the schedule and they're trying to keep the hygienist busy and their overhead's really high. And I say, hey, I can bring you Invisalign people just like this. And they can see it visually so they understand what they're going to get. Same thing with the med spa. Um, so I'm gonna go through just like a full presentation, just so you guys, and then we can come back to the visuals because I actually think the visuals are the most important part. But let me actually I'll do the restoration one because I'll show you exactly what we would do. So the next part of the presentation, by the way, is if you show somebody something that they really, really want at a near unconscious level, the very next thing they will think to themselves is, I wonder if that would work for me. And so what I like to do is simply to spell out with words, this will work for you if, and by the way, this is called a qualifier. And this is how we screen out like bad clients, by the way. People ask me, well, if you don't talk to them, how do you screen out the bad clients? Because I do it right here in this step. And for most of you guys, I'm going to tell you the thing you should be qualifying on is a variation of call your fucking leads, dipshit. Said in a nicer way, but I'm going to send you people, fucking call them, right? Like right away. Don't wait. Don't mess around. So like I might say, these are emergency kind of inquiries. So this will work for you if you can call the leads within 5 minutes of inquiry. And I would just say, like out loud, these are emergency calls. They're not sitting around waiting. They got an emergency. You got to get back to them right away. If you can call the leads within 5 minutes, I want you to buy this service. If you cannot, don't buy the shit because it's not going to work for you. And this is, by the way, it also helps reinforce expectations later after the fact. Yeah, we got people using Notebook LM and presenting the images same way. Yeah, I would totally niche down for the Google reviews. But on that specifically, we have some examples of businesses glowing. We already have these demonstrations for real. We have like mountains of business owners saying they blew it. So Matt says part of our process, we ask clients to record video selfies using our scripts to use for Facebook ad creatives. What image would you show to represent that? Currently, we have a pic of a landscaper doing a selfie. So I'll show you where that comes up in a second, Matt. So the next piece of the puzzle is they will wonder to themselves, how does it work? And this is the piece, by the way, that is missing from most people's presentation. And how does it work is going to be a little bit different for all of you guys. But for most of you guys, it's going to be approximately 3 to 5 steps. It's okay if it's 6 or 7. Like it's not the end of the world if it's an extra step or two. But I'll show you, for example, with restoration, how we were able to get them those kind of specific flood jobs is we would say we identify the flood job keywords in your market. Then I'd say we optimize your GBP, your Google Business Place and website for those keywords. We emphasize examples of your work and that you're quick or fast. So people call you. You drive to the job site. And again, I'm not going to like go through this in super detail, but I do each of these as a picture, right? So I'll give you an example of a picture I might generate to show these steps. So I'll give you a real example. We had a water damage restoration, San Antonio. So I show an example search of somebody searching in their area. And I take a screenshot. I'm going to go to this fancy image tool called Microsoft Paint. I put a little box around. This is a search result. This is a business getting phone calls. And then I go there and I say, we identify the keywords in your market. And then I would say, we optimize your GBP. So let's show them an example of, and obviously I could use AI for these images just like we did. But for the sake of just, not making this a 4-hour presentation. And then this one has examples of their work. So let's like click on that one, like right there looks like a good example of their work. By the way, contractors, man, these guys sure just love pictures of their trucks. I don't know why they all want to show pictures of their trucks. Look at my truck. Oh, you got an awesome truck. We got to pick you. Actually, let's use that truck since they got a picture of it. So I'm gonna give you guys like an example walk through this presentation that we built in real time. Oh, Patrick's waiting. Trying to keep the bots waiting so we don't fill up. So when I'm explaining to them how the process works in a couple of steps, so like taking it from the beginning, just like kind of so you guys can see the flow of it, is I would say, hey, Mr. Restoration Contractor, want to show you how you can get full mitigation jobs and have people like, get you to do full insurance jobs, something like that. And this will work really, really well for you if you can call the leads within 5 minutes. Let me show you really quickly how it works. We start by identifying the keywords where people are looking for mitigation jobs. We optimize your GBP so it's set up to be in front of those. We show off your work and your Google reviews, and your ass drives to the job site to go quote it. By the way, if you show them, anybody have an idea what the next thing, like the next thought that will occur in their mind is? If you're selling speed to lead, like when you're talking like you got an AI solution or like a GHL thing that does the follow-up for them, can you clarify that, Kyle?
Is it how much is it?
Yeah, that's the question. Who said that?
Eric.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, Frankie, it's a AI solution to respond to their leads within a minute or two.
So in that case, like what I would actually do is show them a problem demonstration of just like what percentage of leads they're actually missing and like what it's costing them. And then as far as the this will work for you if um like in your case it's probably like just information you need from them. I need to know your hours, I need to know what services you offer, I need to know your approximate price, I need to know where you want me to send the bookings to, right? Like just basic info. But like you're actually going to do that as part of the process. So you're kind of like, spelling out what's going to come next.
Yep. Okay.
So that's probably how I would do that. Um
Thanks.
So the person said how much, and this is I'll give you a short version of what I showed our mastermind folks the other day. But this is the formula I use to present price. Is I say the investment is blank, and I say for that you will get, and I say works well if, and I restate the qualifications. And by the way, this is why the price actually does not matter. I think that was you typing, Patrick, so I'm going to mute you. One of my next goals, by the way, I haven't done this yet, but just sharing you guys one of my intentions is I intend to sell a $10 million yacht through video. I've sold houses, a couple of them. I've sold a car, and now I'm like, why not sell a $10 million boat? Right? Um, why? Why does somebody buy a $10 million boat? Like $10 million is expensive, clearly, right? Like by most people's standards. So why would somebody give $10 million for a boat? And the answer is because the boat they're getting is cooler than the $10 million, right? So it's not about how much money it is. People like I've heard people say, "Oh, it only works for 1,200." Only just we've sold $100,000 shit above, beyond, like anything in between, low ticket, high ticket, you name it. The most important detail is that the thing they're going to get is in higher value than the thing they're paying for. So in my case, using restoration, it would be the investment is $28.99 a month. That's our actual checkout page. So I'd say the investment is the old $28.99 a month. And I'd say for that, you're going to get 50 to 100 mitigation flood job calls per month. And works well if it's just a restatement of this step right here. Your ass can call them in 5 minutes or less. Okay. So the next piece of the puzzle, by the way, this is the thing people screw up the most in a Loom presentation. Like number 1 and 2 are like the opener and the close. Frankie, this is so good. Honestly, we're all making this harder than it is. I'm just finally asking myself, how would I want somebody to sell to me my new goal? Yeah, totally. A big part of this is it's a golden rule of selling is you're selling, kind of the way we like to be sold to. So here's my question, okay? What are they asking next? If you've shown them something they want, you've shown them who it works for, you've shown them how the process works, and you've shown them how much money, and they're still with you, what do you think the next thing they want to know is?
How
Are
can
you
I get it?
trustworthy?
I heard somebody say that, but you got talked over.
How can I get it?
How can I get it? And by the way, so like let's call that, what do I do next? Okay. Most
What about the
agencies.
question, are you the right one? Can I trust you? Are you trustworthy?
Well, part of that is we're calling out who the right person is. But if I'm telling you, if you demonstrate something they want and you show them in like a clear visual way, it'll automatically be assumed that you know how to do that thing and therefore are trustworthy, right? Like to me, there's a great deal of skill shown if I show you the exact type of job that you most want to get, and I show it to you in a picture, and I show you exactly a step-by-step process to get it, and I show it to you in a way where it's affordable for you. It's assumed I know how to do it. Like a big part of this, Erin can confirm what I said, like because she's a former attorney, but I used to work a lot of years with personal injury attorneys, and they would tell me if you go to court, there's nothing you can say without evidence. You can say, Frankie hurt his back in a car accident, but if you don't bring the evidence, it's not true. You can say, Frankie won't be able to work, but if I don't bring a doctor and the medical bills, it's not true. You can say Frankie's car was totaled, but if I don't bring the pictures and the repair bill and the insurance statements, it never happened. And so a lot of what makes us quote unquote believable in this is we're bringing the evidence. Like every step of the way, I'm like transparently, I'm going to show you this is what we're going to get you. This is how we're going to get them. This is exactly what we're going to do for you, right? So the evidence is actually what makes you trust. Yeah. I'll give you guys the Google. In fact, if you guys want, you guys can have access to the Google Doc right now. No need to wait. I'll organize the prompts into like templates for you guys. So yeah, how do I get it? Let's just call that how do I get it? Okay. So here's what I want to tell you about how to get it. They don't know how to buy the shit from you. Why is that? Why do they not know how to buy it from you? And the answer is because every agency
You haven't told them.
does it differently. One person does QuickBooks, another person sends an ACH payment request, another person does Stripe, another person manually invoices them. They don't know how they're supposed to buy it from you. So you need to fucking tell them clearly. Like, so a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll end their Loom video and go, so if you'd like to get started, let me know. Let you know what? How? So I'm telling you, if you want to make closing more exact, show them exactly how to buy it. So for me, this is my real checkout page, just so you guys know. Okay. So I'm going to put a picture of that. So like, let's put this presentation together and I'll just kind of like softly go through it. But I'd say, hey, restoration contractor, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can get full mitigation jobs in your city and get about 50 to 100 of these a month. As you can see, this is a lady who reached out with a flooded basement. Her sump pump is gone. These are the kind of jobs we can bring you. We found this works really, really well if you can call the leads within 5 minutes of inquiry. So like speed is the name of the game. If you can be fast, this will work for you. Here's what we figured out. There are certain keywords where people are looking for mitigation jobs. Here's an example of one: water damage mitigation, San Antonio. What we do is we optimize your listing to get in front of those exact keywords. So the people looking for that kind of work, they find you. Then we emphasize your work and show off that you're trustworthy by just giving people as examples of the rebuilds and stuff you do. And then what you have to do is you have to drive to the job and you go quote it. No, you will not get all the jobs you quote, but if you're the fastest one there, you're going to win more of them than you don't. If you'd like to get started with this, the investment for this is $28.99 a month. Typically, you're going to get about 50 to 100 mitigation flood job calls. This is SEO, so it does take some time to kick in. You won't get these immediately. This will happen after 3 to 6 months. It works really, really well if you can call the leads in the next 5 minutes. If that sounds like you and you'd like to get started, I got a little button below this video. It will take you to this form right here where you see our checkout page. When you click on the checkout page right here, this is what you'll see. So you go ahead and enter your credit card information, all that to get started. And then what will happen is Henry from my team will reach out just to get a few basic info from you about your Google business page and to get started. It usually takes a couple of hours before we get that, so don't panic if you submit your payment info and nothing happens immediately. There's no fireworks that go off, no gold stars. But if that sounds like you, I want you to click the button below, go ahead and get started. You can go ahead and fill out your payment information. And if you got a question, the best way you can reach me is over here on text. My number is 312-600-7598. I'll put a link to that below as well. If you got a question, just go ahead and feel free to text me. And if this is not a fit for you, thanks for watching this. But otherwise, go ahead and click that button and you can get started. By the way, that's an entire video close, just done, like for you guys live in real time.
So you're actually not sending this as an email. This is just what you screen share with your face in like a Loom video.
Yeah.
And then send that as a link in an email.
Can you share the video template? I don't know what you mean by that. Can I share the video template? The images are the slides of the presentation. Yeah. I usually put my video on the or my face on the presentation. I think it helps conversions, but I've seen people do it without them. It converts as well like that. Yeah, we're all overcomplicating. What should the hand so this is a good question. Sharia asked about the hand raiser, okay? So going back to like the process, the only difference between the hand raiser, the pre-selling, the plan, the Loom video, and the follow-up is the level of detail. So the way I kind of, the analogy I use is imagine I say to you, like I see Aaron there. I say, hey, my neighbor Erin is single and she really wants to meet you. Would you like to get introduced? If you say yes, then we have some things to figure out. If you say no, like she's a lawyer, I'm not into lawyers, they're way too serious for me. Um, whatever, I'm not into that. Well, then we don't need to build a presentation. We don't need to do anything. But imagine, for example, you do say yes, I'm interested in meeting Erin. Well, now I got to pre-sell you the plan. So I got to say, well, I'm having a barbecue this Sunday and she's going to be there and I want you to come too. And I'm going to like casually introduce you guys and kind of like subtly nudge it along. Can you come to my barbecue on Sunday? If it's yes, now we need even more detail. What time? What location? Do I need to bring anything? Should I wear something? Aaron really likes the New England Patriots. Should I mention Tom Brady? Like those things come up. Now I'm sending a Loom video. And we might even get deeper into follow-ups with like okay, can you remember to wear your blue shirt? See you at 3 o'clock. Make sure to park over here. Like it's just so this is why I say if they won't raise their hand for it, they won't buy it. So in the case of like the presentation I just showed you, my hand raiser is who here would be interested in getting full mitigation jobs? And then they go, me, 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 me. And then I go, hey, let me show you uh, how you can get those full mitigation jobs. The easiest way we found to get them without depending on plumber is to go to Google because there's all these people looking. If you're interested in getting someone to help you build that, check out my video. They check out the video. Loom sends you a notification, they watch it. And then the follow up is just going again in greater detail is like, let me show you the exact keywords in your city that they're looking for you. Let me show you the exact changes you need to make to your GBP. Let me show you exactly which job photos of yours that I want to show off. Let me show you how you need to handle the calls that are coming. And those are my follow-up email. So it's the same thing throughout that gets them to raise their hand. So you can go straight to video, by the way, and close, but it's also like if you walk up to strange girls on the street and say, "Will you marry me?" You will get a few to say yes. But I don't recommend it as an overall strategy. Like go on some dates and try and win each other over. And so like this is the process I'm taking people through all the time as I'm getting to and I know, by the way, if I say who's interested in full mitigation jobs and nobody says me, whether that's an ad or outreach or a social media post or a YouTube video, don't make no difference. They ain't gonna buy it. So like I don't need to worry about Loom videos. So like I can test my offer in a sentence or two and I'll know if people say I'm interested, they'll likely buy it. So just like we go to some of the other ones and I'll show you guys some other niches. But I do like dentists. If I say who's interested in getting Invisalign patients with Facebook, and no dentist says me, I don't need to make a video about that. I don't need to make a service about it. And by the way, this doesn't mean like for a lot of you guys, it doesn't mean you need to abandon your niche or abandon Facebook ads and start a new service. Like I see people hop niches. It just means you need to try a different angle in the same way that like if I run a restaurant and I say, hey, I got 2-for-1 chicken wings and nobody says they're interested, then I don't need to get out of the restaurant business or move towns. I just need to go tomorrow. Hey, we got all you can eat barbecue. We got ribs and chicken. We got cornbread. And like, I just try a different angle, right? So if they don't respond to Invisalign, I wouldn't change like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do database reactivation anymore. I would just change the angle. Same thing with the med spas here. We did like lip fillers. If they don't respond to lip fillers, I could literally just change it to cheek fillers. And that alone, that detail alone, right? It doesn't change my service. I'm still going to do a database reactivation. I'm still going to invite people to stuff. Just want to check if you guys are still following along with me. What if we send a video?
Frankie, I do have two questions about the Loom videos,
Yeah.
if you don't mind here. On the Loom videos, are you hosting them on a dedicated website or are you just sending them the link themselves?
Um, so kind of the honest answer is it depends how your funnel's set up. So somebody asked, the question I get asked most, is it a personalized video for each person or is it the same video? The first 5 or 10 I always personalize until I get used to hearing people say yes. And then
Yep.
after that, it's just one video. Usually by the time it's one video, it's just embedded on a page. When it's personalized, it's not embedded on a page. And part of it, it depends on how you're having the conversation. So like if I was at a BNI meeting or some kind of face-to-face and I said, hey, I got some cool stuff to send you, I'd say, can I just text it to you? And I would text it out and I would probably send them a video to like their specific video or that specific link. If I'm
Then
running
the
Facebook
button to
ads,
buy.
What's that?
It would be on the button to buy. Would that be on the page, or does Loom have the capability of clicking a button to
Either
buy?
the button to buy is on the page, or I explicitly tell them, you know, like sometimes I'll like when I'm on this page, right, or I'm at the end, I'll say something like, so if you'd like to get started, reply with the words or the phrase "I'm in," and I will send you a link to this page so you can get started. And then it's clear for them that they have to reply to the email and type "I'm in" kind of thing.
Gotcha. Then you just send them the
Exactly.
payment link.
Exactly.
If you have it on the dedicated website, do you just put the button right at the bottom then?
Yeah. By the way, when you do this, for you guys who like the first time you video close, you'll create a new problem for yourself. I call it inbox hunting because you'll start having payments show up in non-traditional business hours. Like somebody will buy your shit at 3 in the morning, somebody will buy it at 11:30 at night. And, obviously you're not set up to onboard somebody at 3 in the morning. So a lot of times you'll wake up and you'll go, who just paid me for what? Why are there inbox notifications? What is this from? How do outside of social media? So there's basically six, just so you know, Carrie. Six ways you can get somebody to um become interested. So one is you do one-to-one. It's my least favorite way of doing it, but it's what everybody teaches. So one-to-one is cold calling, cold DMs, email, Instagram messages, Facebook messages, LinkedIn messages, shit like that. The second way is content. There's a million ways to do content. Like you can do a podcast and then say at the end of it, if you're interested, go to my link here. Um, you can do, YouTube videos. You can post social media content. My favorite long-term strategy, just so you guys know, is running ads. I always like, once I get this dialed in, I always run ads. I usually try and figure it out organically for free, meaning I don't like to lose money on ads. But once I know I have an offer that's working, like I turn on ads and I bring people to me. Um, Fourth way is you meet people face to face. So, if I'm trying to sell to med spas, I would go to the med spa event and the med spa conference and join the med spa virtual workshop and shit like that. And then when you have conversations with people, say, hey, if you want, I can send you some details on how we could get you lip fillers. And then you're sending them like that. The fifth way, um, good old fashioned referrals is people get sent your way because, somebody they like, know, and trust sends them your way. And you go, here's my video. The sixth way, which is another my favorite way to start it out, I call it shoe stores, but you find people who have audiences in your space and you go create stuff with them, which will create inbound for you. Like I sometimes publish stuff in industry magazines or at the industry associations, and then it causes people to come to me, and then I, send them a video. And then the last way, which I wouldn't recommend, but there is another way, which is job sites, Fiverr, Upwork, places like that where people are bidding on work. But basically, you're gonna have to do one of those seven things, and all of those, by the way, doesn't matter which one of those you're doing because this works on people. They all start with a hand raiser. Like if I was face to face with a restoration contractor, which I've been at some of the events, I'd say, hey, Joe, I had an idea to get you some mitigation jobs. Can I send a little video with some details on what I'm thinking? And that's it. Like that's the fucking hand raiser right there. I got an idea to get you some mitigation jobs. Can I tell you about it? Um, and like I said, if they won't raise their hand for it, they won't buy it. So I don't need to make a service around it. How do you personalize the videos? Um, like I said, the first ones I record for that person, and then how I personalize them long term when I just have one video is usually with a sentence or two in like an email or a text message. I'll say, "Hey, Aaron, I saw you're, in Massachusetts and you're interested in getting mitigation jobs. I had a couple ideas for you, but I got this video that kind of explains how we work. I'm going to go ahead and send you that, and then I'm happy to answer whatever questions you have. And by the way, I usually handle those questions that remain, like almost always, by the way, the number one question they'll give you after this is, will this work for me in my situation? Like, I saw you did that for that guy in San Antonio, but I'm in Frog Balls, Arkansas. Does it still work in Frog Balls, Arkansas? And I'll handle that question over text. Yeah, you won't get as many calls because it's a smaller town, but yeah, it still works. What's the link to the Google Doc he's building? You can have that right here. For whoever asks, I usually put these in actual formal slides, but you can do it in a Google Doc. It's less about the technology. Everybody asks me about the when do you send it and do you say send this? It's like it's what it's really about is I know what they want. I know what kind of people they most want to get through the door. And most marketers don't, by the way. Can I explain the LinkedIn Facebook method for hand raisers? Yeah, real simple. I'll show you a real example because I actually put this in here on purpose. Okay. So I'm a big believer if you can make them come to you, you'll dramatically increase your chances of the sale because it doesn't feel. So what I do is, how many of you guys have heard my concept of what shoe buyers? You guys heard my concept of shoe buyers? It's the idea that like
Yep.
you want to sell marketing services to people who buy marketing services. So this is an actual like restoration community. And what I use the communities for, I don't do any selling in the communities because like that'll usually get you kicked out. What I do is I friend people that ask buying questions. And by the way, I don't limit those buying questions to who can make my website because I realize that the people who buy one thing buy anything. So let me show you an example. So this is one of those hidden buying questions that doesn't look like it. It says, "Can anyone send me a category 3 sewage Zactimate?" So for those of you guys not in this industry, Zactimate is the name of a quoting software. By the way, is software free or is that a buying question? Is that so I know that this person right here has already spent money on software. So I would just go add friend. And then I would also friend everybody who's engaging there. So like there's 3 potential people. What supporting documentation, right? Supporting documentation, like that means they're doing some volume. So I would like friend Nick. Of course, he's a restoration owner. And by the way, not 100% of these people will confirm your friendship. You can do the same thing on LinkedIn, by the way. So this guy's talking about a mastermind. So I know everybody interested in this mastermind is interested in spending money as a restoration contractor and leveling up. Otherwise, why else would you join a mastermind? I know a lot of folks stay away from Zactimate, but it's mainly for rebuilds. Here's another buying question, right? He's talking about buying a quoting software. So I'd friend all those people here, right? Facebook has a thing called lists. Let me see if I can find the link for it on the old Google. So you can add people to lists, just so you know, on Facebook. I'm gonna just see if I can find the URL. I'll have to dig it up for you guys, but there's a way to put people in lists. You just have to take my word for it. And what I can do is I can make a post and I can go, who's interested in getting mitigation jobs or full mitigation jobs? Full residential mitigation jobs. And then on Facebook, I can choose who sees it. So I can go to like custom and I can put certain people in a list. And then what I do is I create lists of the contractors. So those are the only people who see it. That means my aunt won't see this post. My grandma won't see it. You know, that kid I went to high school with that's like creeping my shit, he won't see it. It'll just go in front of contractors. But the reason I like to do it that way is it creates the illusion that they found you. They won't remember friending you. And then I'm just taking them through this process. I'm like, here's how I'd get you mitigation jobs. Let me show you what it would look like to get my help. Follow up with and by the way, most people do follow up in an annoying way. To me, all follow up is done correctly is going deeper. So deeper is like, okay, I said there's keywords. Now let me show you exactly which keywords apply to you. I said I'm going to make changes to your GBP. Let me show you exactly what changes to your GBP I would make to your GBP. I said we're going to show off your work. Let me show you exactly which pictures of yours I think are the most flattering, right? So that's follow up to me, not like, hey, so do you want to buy my service? Do you want to get started? Did you see my proposal? Did you see my message? You see my message yet? How about, do you see the last message? Like that's how most people do follow up. To me, I'm actually already talking like we're working together. It'd be like, hey, Aaron, I was checking out your thing in Boston and I was just pulling up like the relevant keywords that are around you. And I found these like 30 keywords. Anyways, real excited to help you get those mitigation jobs. Looking forward to talking soon. Like that's my follow-up right there. And it's kind of like the angle is sort of like, hey, I had another idea. Like we're going deeper on what sort of already worked. But because you mention it, like that's my favorite way to get started and test this for free is I just friend people that I know are known buyers and I put shit in front of them and they go, hey, I found you on Facebook or I found you on LinkedIn. And I go, no way. You found me on the exact place I added you. What are the fucking odds? But I specifically I add people that I know are buying. What have you found the most profitable? Selling lead generation or selling service that saves them time or money? I mean both. Like there's a lot of reasons to do both. Pre-qualify with short emails, DMs to confirm interest. Interest shown, then worth doing the personalized video. Yeah, I've heard yes. What do you send the guys that you added? Just the video you guys are seeing. Sometimes I'll do what I call pre-sales content, which is Um, it's basically I show them the plan. I say, hey, if you want to get mitigation jobs, this is what I would do. I would find you the keywords. I would show off your best work in your reviews, and I would optimize for it. And then I might go, what do you think of that? And if they say that sounds cool, then I'd go, hey, I got a video. If you're interested in getting my help, can I send you that? Do you have anything in your profiles to appear more trustworthy? Yeah, I usually just say look the part. So if you're going to work with plumbers, your profile should say something about plumbers. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just, like people obsess about this. Like I would spend 10 minutes on Canva and make a little header so you look like you work with that kind of person. I never get kicked out of the communities because I'm not actually sharing my stuff inside the community. I'm just finding the people to add. um Build an audience with a niche you want and you post. And yeah, just so you guys know, like my own numbers, like we hit $1 million in my second agency when I had about like 400-ish qualified buyers in my list. So it's not like you need millions of them. A lot of times people think you need like the right people. When you're doing a diagnostic loom for someone with positioning problems, specifically consultants who can't articulate what they do clearly, what's the exact structure that gets them to take action? Well, usually I get them clear on who do they actually want. If they can't articulate who they want, then it's very difficult to get them a meaningful result. Like if their target market is anyone with a credit card and legs, then usually it's hard to aim ads at, hey, this ad is for anyone with a credit card and legs, right? But the more you like, this is a very specific ad that I would run for this guy, right? It would say, like, is your basement underwater? Who else is in the med spa niche? I'd love to connect in mastermind. There you go. How do you deal with old stuff and old posts on your Facebook that isn't supportive of your current business? I don't even bother with it. I don't think that many people care. I'm convinced the longer I do this that the only reason they watch your video, the only reason they do stuff is because it's their own self-interest. Like they don't actually care that much about you. Is following a good hand raiser cold DM? Hey, Shreyas, I've come up with a way to help SEO agencies pay 53% less for their backlinks. This is where I say you got to go deeper and figure out what they want, because I promise you they're not losing sleep over the percentage they're paying for their backlinks. That's called missing the mark. And so everything you do there, and by the way, I try and always write it from their perspective using you. So I wouldn't say I came up with, if I was testing that as a hand raiser, it would be, would you be interested in saving 53%? But I suspect you're missing the mark on that. So it actually, like, if I was starting a conversation, it would just be like, hey, do you currently buy backlinks? Like that actually might be an easier hand raiser. Are there other ways to do this when you're starting out or testing? I mean, you can turn on ads. That's like my other favorite way to do it quickly. Usually, by the way, a lot of people lose their shirt running ads, but what I do is for $50 to $100, I'll run a test. If nobody will raise their hand for $50 or $100 on a test, they won't buy it. But the flip side of that is, like we just had John yesterday. He spent about $100 on Facebook ads, and 21 people said, "Tell me more about that." So I know for sure they're going to buy that service. They won't like buy it immediately, like in the next 5 minutes. But because 21 people said, tell me about that," I know he's on the mark, and therefore he just has to keep spending money on ads. So you can do it in little $50 to $100 tests if you got it. How many people am I adding a day? Usually like 50-ish. And at some point, Facebook and LinkedIn will tell you to stop doing it. Or they'll be like, do you know this person? And you click, yes, I do, even though you don't. If you're doing hand raisers in Facebook groups, yeah, that's usually the fastest way to get kicked out. Like, because they'll just see that as promotional, selling, whatever. There are ways you can do Facebook. You can do sort of post incognito, but that's probably kind of an advanced thing. Yeah, there's going to be a replay, Eric. I'll send it out after the fact when it's done converting. Does this work for staffing and recruitment agencies that seek new recruit B2B clients and also seek to automate their candidate scoring process? Yeah, I mean, like what you're selling them is show them an example of a qualified candidate and then show them all the screening you're doing so they don't have to talk to the deadbeats. Like that's most of your presentation. What most people want to do is tell them about, your service and all the things you do, but you just want to show them the outcome they care about, which is a qualified candidate, right? Um, even if you're not sure exactly the numbers, like you even just showing them a specific type of person and say, we'll bring you these types of people, even if you haven't run it before and you don't know you'll get 50 to 100 people, that's still stronger than just doing what everybody else does is go, more leads, more sales, more customers. Let me show you about my citation building service. And they don't believe you. You don't sound real. They don't care about your citation thing. Like that's just how you get tuned out. If you just say like, hey, I can get you Invisalign people from Facebook ads. Let me show you how
Put
it
one in
works.
your basket. Yes.
Oh, I think I got
Unless,
mute somebody.
oh, right outside your door. Maybe.
Oh.
That's Julie. Who else is in the med spot? Okay, sorry. I'm going back. Where am I sending the replay? I'm just going to email all you guys, like just reply to the calendar thing. When your offer is to save time for property managers are swamped with calls, would that intro slideshow screenshots of missed calls, or would it be better to show screenshots of the qualified folks? In that case, I usually show a before and after. So I'll show them like the kinds of calls that are wasting their time. So like, how many like in the contractor space, like the equivalent of that is like how many times you pick up the phone and it's just Angie's List or someone looking for a job. What if you only had to talk to these qualified people and I would show a side by side of the unqualified and the qualified person right next to each other? How much do I intro myself in my company in the video? I don't. I assume they don't care about me. You can like, but I wouldn't spend more than a sentence on it. It would be like, hey, I'm Frankie from, Get Flood Jobs. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get blah, blah, blah. I assume they don't care about me. So I actually don't even say most of the time, hey, it's Frankie. I just say, in this video, I'm going to show you how to get full mitigation flood job phone calls from Google and get 50 to 100 of these every month. So if I replace my daily activity of doing 1,000 cold calls a day, which is super inefficient, will this? Yeah, I'll tell you, Daniel, that's why I actually came up with this. I learned like the basics of this from a mentor, Travis Sago, and I created my spinoff. But I was in Germany, and if you move to Germany as a foreigner, as part of the process, you have to go through school to like get like the equivalent of a US green card. So I was in school like 7, 8 hours a day, and then I would come home and do sales calls, and I was just fucking exhausted. And I was running ads, but what I figured out is when video could take those calls for me, I closed more people. Like, firstly, because it eliminates the scheduling thing. It's like they get the information right away when they want it and they're hot, not how's your Tuesday the 27th at 3 p.m. Oh, let me double check and getting rescheduled. They get the information and video can be having conversations with thousands of people at once. I'll sometimes, by the way, I sometimes do this exact process in a Google Doc. I don't always do it in video. Sometimes I'll do it as written format, but I can see stuff like this where I can see like 33 people are reading the document at the same time. And I'm like, my pitch is being made 33 times at once. Real me could never do that. And I've learned that if you want to make more money, make more offers. And if you want to make more offers, digitize them so anybody can, because like if you're doing phone calls, you can only make one offer an hour. So you'd like the most amount of money you're ever going to make in an hour is one closed deal. If you're running Facebook ads to test, what are you asking them? And where are you sending them? I'm not usually asking them. I'm offering them like a specific type of person. And then I'm getting them to like raise their hand in some way, either to fill out a form and take a next step, or sometimes I'll just like for really simple, like version 1.0, like when I'm just MVP, I'll just say, if you want more details, reply to this ad. And if nobody replies to the ad and says, tell me more about it, I know that I'm missing the mark. But if people say like, Send me details. Send me details. I know they'll probably buy it. Sorry, let me see if I can make this bigger for a second because we got a lot of questions here. I'm selling AI receptionist and go high level services. Any idea how this would work? Yeah, this is a thing, Patrick. You're not actually selling AI voice services. Everybody thinks your service is what they're buying. Like, what happens when you install the AI voice thing? And it's usually two things. It solves the problem of eliminating spam and missed calls and things like that. So show an image of a spam call or a missed call. And it also puts bookings in their calendar. So show them an example of a booking. What you don't want to do, there is not somebody said they're in med spa. There's not a med spa today that woke up and said, I really need AI receptionist GHL services. Whew, my life would be complete if I could have. This is why I say you guys aren't selling what you really think you're selling. Yeah, you can send a Loom video like an individual LinkedIn post per niche, of course. What if you have different price tiers? I would suggest either do one of two things. Either stop, make it a single price tier because you're just going to confuse them. And by the way, the more things you give them to think about, the more reasons you give them to say no. Or if you're going to do price tiers, then I do it as like a gold, silver, or bronze. It's like we got this package, that. So it's not like a yes or no decision. Like software does this really, really well. You know, when you go to a software thing, do you want the beginner package? Do you want the light, or do you want the enterprise? But it doesn't give you 54 decisions to make. If you give somebody a menu that's too big, they'll take 15-20 minutes to decide what to eat, and often they'll just, in our world, just not buy anything. So I would suggest like simplify that if you can. If the number of leads like fluctuates, like just so you know, on the 50 to 100, we actually knew we could get them 100 to 200 calls a month. So we were actually promising less than what we could actually do. But if you don't know that, just focus on the specific types of people. Like when I first started doing motorcycle cases, it was just, we'll get you motorcycle cases. It wasn't like, we'll get you this many for this price. Obviously, the more details you can include, the more real it'll be for them. But if you don't know, like don't promise what you don't know. How's he target his audience to not get unqualified people? That's a loaded question, Aaron, but I'll give you the shortcut to a lot of that. So unqualified people in almost every niche meet two criteria. One is that they're not spending money on advertising, so you have to convince them to invest in their business. And they're almost always single solo operators. So just in my ad, I would just call it out. So like if I wanted to do, in my case, the full mitigation jobs, I would say something like, who's interested in getting full mitigation jobs so that they have steady work for their team. Now I'm talking to somebody who has a team, and now I'm not talking to single solo people. But that's how you weed out almost all the unqualified people in every niche, by the way, are single solo operators. Can you give examples of hand raiser you could do in a Facebook group that won't sound promotional? I know a lot of rules saying no promotional or marketing service. I'll tell you one of my favorite ones, Eric, and this is really incognito, but one of my favorite questions to ask in a community to find out what problems they have is I'll say something like this. Let me scroll down. How would you tell someone not to become a blank? So why would you tell someone not to become a restoration contractor? So I know in my case, like the answers will be because we're always waiting to get paid from insurance companies. I might then go friend the people who did that and just be like, hey, Eric. And this would now switch to like private message. It would be like, hey, Eric, do you find that you normally get paid faster on full mitigation jobs? And this, by the way, doesn't come across as spammy because he's already kind of started the conversation. And now I can go in, hey, I had an idea to get you mitigation jobs. Can I send you some details about it? And it doesn't look like obviously salesy and spammy. Okay, so property managers, when I say, and for that you'll get, it's okay to list multiple stuff, complete control, safety net. Yeah, but I would focus on outcomes, by the way. Like real outcomes, like not wishy-washy, happier people. Like you'll get these kind of people. You're going to get that many. You're going to get this kind of inquiry. But generally speaking, you want to contextualize it with outcomes. For Google reviews business, passing out seems more doable though, aside from networking. Interestingly enough, Alex, because you're asking, if you give away the Google review cards, because it's such a value add on step one, you can actually almost sell them anything else after. But we do have a system for, selling the reviews on the back end. But if you give them that kind of gift, you don't have to. You can try a different hand raiser right after if you want to. Like if I'm at the plastic surgery event, I could say, hey, would you be interested in getting facelifts? I have some ideas for you on that. If doing ads like 60-second YouTube vids, would you still walk and talk or show all images in the Loom? Sometimes like I'll do a 60-second hand raiser. So it's just like, hey, my name's Frankie. Who here would be interested in getting full mitigation ones like this? And I show a picture of it. And I might just say, it'll help your crews of guys and to do blah, blah, blah. If you'd like more information, I want you to click the link below. And by the way, if they don't click it and they don't get more information below, I know they don't want it. And I'll try a different ad. I sell CRO to local service businesses that already have traffic. Convert, blah, 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 reactivate. My CRO is convert, generate you, blah, blah, blah. Could this work? Well, I'll tell you right now, first of all, you don't sell CRO. That's your understanding of what you sell to them. So that's like part of it is everybody thinks like AI, GHL, and you have to translate to the like what happens for them if they convert more of their traffic, right? Like if they're getting, say, a dentist and they're getting 100 bookings a month and you help them CRO and now they get 125 bookings, I would like show those side by side. This is where you're at now. And this is after I do my CRO stuff, you'll get an extra 25 people. But if you want to tell them about CRO, you're going to convert exactly zero because there's not one local business that woke up and said, I need conversion rate optimization today. So you have to translate to that something meaningful. And I would tell you, it'll work better if you can narrow that down to a niche. You don't have to, but it's very hard to make a meaningful demonstration if you don't, because like literally your CRO is different things to different people.
Cannot make it today.
Do you have more sneaky
Have to try for next Monday or Tuesday.
I'm gonna mute Tom there. Do you have any more sneaky hand raiser lines that we can use? Too? I got a few. Do you have more sneaky hand raiser lines that we can use to here's a simple one. What kind of jobs, customers, patients, clients use their language do you wish you had more of? And when they say Invisalign, and I say, hey Larry, you mentioned you liked Invisalign. We could help you get those. I'm gonna mute a couple of you guys just because we're getting background noise. And by the way, like the sneaky hand raisers are you ask a question that doesn't look like an obvious sales question, and then when they answer it, then you switch over to DMs and you start talking about their answer. So it's not like, hey, quick question, do you want to buy 30 booked appointments? It's like, hey, Larry, you mentioned you're interested in mitigation jobs. Because that's what he said. That's not what you said, right? So it's like it's continuing, the conversation that was happening in private. What kind of services work best or your favorites? Personally, like I like ads. I'm not saying you guys have to do ads, but I think ads are simple if you really understand how to make offers. And so if you know how to make offers, you can do a lot to move the needle for a business because most local businesses, by the way, they don't even have offers. They just say business name, we do blank, blank, and blank, call now. That's basically their messaging. That's their websites, that's their ads, it's everything they do. And so, or they do like discounts. They go like, half price. Like that's all they really know how to do. They don't know how to make anything cool. And so I like doing ads. But having said that, like, I haven't met a service yet that this doesn't work for. Is there anything special about Loom videos as opposed to any other video platform? No, Russ. The reason I actually use Loom over other ones is just because Loom gives you a notification when the person watches it. And so I know how to handle the sale based on they saw it or didn't see it. So if they didn't see it, the follow-up is, just a gentle nudge like, hey, Russ, go watch the fucking video, right? If they did see it, then the follow-up is, hey, I saw you watch the video and I was thinking about which keywords would work specifically for you. And it's just like, it's the logical next step to it. I do have some other GPTs to help you copyright better. I'll share that with you guys in a minute. How do you record a proposal loom that needs to close the deal without a follow-up call? What's the last 30, 60 seconds? How do you structure the offer in CT? Well, the most important detail is right here, right? Milo, how do I move this? When I showed you here, the most important detail is when you show the money, show them something more valuable. Like I always say, like if I say to you, Milo, I got a house for sale, it's $250,000. It's not a deal or a ripoff until you know what kind of house you're getting. So like when you present the price of your thing, always contextualize it with something that's more valuable than the money. This is why people say like, oh, it only works for $1,200 things. No, it just means you don't know how to contextualize $10,000 worth of value if you're charging $1,200. So if you want them to close, just like, hey, the investment is this, and you're going to get this much more valuable thing for it. If you nail that,
Frankie, question.
Yeah.
I asked before in the chat, if you don't know how many, let's say I do Facebook ads and I don't know how many leads I will get for the person with the ad, how can I put it in perspective so it's actually a good deal for him?
Well, usually, cool thing is if you're selling the thing they want, it's an expensive thing for them. And so even if you just bring them one or two a month, that's usually going to still be an ROI for them. So like, for example,
Right.
with these mitigation jobs, they're usually at least $10,000 and their margins are like 30, 40%. So that means they're going to make like 3-4 grand a job. So if I only brought him one that entire month, he would still break even.
All right. I do like wedding venues, and they're also like at 26,000, so they have like a 30% margin as well.
Yeah. So usually like what I'll say when I don't know is I'll say exactly that. Even if you just got one of these, you would still come out ahead.
All right. Thanks.
What are the general stats and percentage of looms that get seen and percentage of looms that convert? That's a loaded question, Frank, because it depends on how you get them to the video. Like if you're sending like what a lot of people do, like we have people who use them as cold DMs and just mass blast them, then the percentage that gets seen is obviously going to be lower. If they've raised their hand and said, tell me more about that, then the percentage is going to be way higher. And if they've seen a few of your things, it's going to be absurdly high percentage. The closing rates are typically about 15 to 20% on my stuff. I don't know everybody else's stats. And a lot of times people go, well, I close 60, 80% of my calls, and they think, aha, like I'll close. What they don't realize is if somebody would watch or if somebody would jump on a call with you, like say 10 people are willing to jump on a call with you, that means usually 100 people would watch a 5-minute video about the same thing. So even if you converted all 10 of those people, which is unrealistic, but let's say you're really good and you close like 7 of them, then you're going to get 7 out of 10. But if you send videos, you'll get 100 people to watch the videos and you'll close like 15. So it's usually twice as high as, and part of the reason is you remove the complexities of schedule. And then the second reason is you get them while they're hot. Like when they're most interested, they don't have to wait 3 days and schedule with you and then have to like rekindle that desire. The moment they're interested in mitigation jobs, they get to see the price and decide if they want to buy it. What message works best for HVAC and ads? Well, you have to know what they want, right? That's why I built this market research bot. Let's go back to the market research bot. Oh, that's not market research. That is. That's not. This is why most people can't sell shit, because they just go, more leads, more sales, more customers. So let's find something that HVAC clients actually want. So we're fixing $89 issues when we need $8,000 installs, right? So like there's something right there. We'll get you $8,000 installs. Or they just get people asking for free estimates, or they're doing Angie's List. So like to me, this is the stuff: system replacements, high efficiency upgrades, maintenance memberships, commercial HVAC contracts, emergency calls. Like I would focus on one of those things. And then that's what my ad is. Like, hey, we can get you high efficiency upgrades, or we can get you commercial HVAC service contracts. Do you do formal proposals and contracts and all that? No, I don't. I mean, you can, but I don't. The more I sell through video, the lazier I get. Just being real with you guys, I'm just like, just fucking buy it. If you don't want to buy it, don't. Like, but I'm not going to do a monkey song and dance and give you proposals and try and convince you. Like, that's where I'm at with it. You guys may feel differently. Part of it is it depends where you're at financially. If you really need the deal, you might do the song and dance. If you're like me and you don't, you're like, fuck that. Um, the follow-up text is not another Loom. It's usually just going deeper into the plan. So like, for example, I gave example of like if I was going to do Facebook ads, one of the steps in Facebook ads is targeting. So a follow-up might be like, let me show you what specific targeting I would do for you. And if I'm going to run ads, I would say, let me show you an example ad that I want to run for you. Right? That's what my follow-ups. They're the same content as the Loom video, but I just go deeper on an individual piece. And I remind them of what they want. So, hey, you're interested in mitigation jobs. Let me show you exactly what I would do to get that. It's a follow-up text, another Loom. How do you get the Loom notification to tell you who watched? I can get it to give me notification, but I don't know who watched. Usually in the beginning, when it's not converting, like you're sending personalized videos, and so like the video is called like Russ Loom video or whatever. And so you can tell whether they watch it. And then when you have it converting, like I don't even care. Like I don't do a lot of follow-up and stuff once I know it works. I just use ads and stuff to drive people to them. For monthly offers with a setup fee, is it better to state the lower monthly price than tell them the setup during the walk? I just like give them the real price, but just make sure that the thing they're going to get in return is of higher value. Like you can tell them there's a setup fee and there's this and that. Just make sure that like I said, the house is $250,000. That's not a deal or a ripoff. It's if I tell you, hey, the house is $250,000, I decided I'm going to become a monk. I'm going to live in the mountains, and I'm selling my $2.5 million beachfront property, and I only owe 220,000. So I want to pay off my mortgage, cover my closing costs, and get a plane ride. And if you're willing to do that, you can have my you can have my quarter or $2.5 million house for 250,000. Like that's a steal. You can sell a $250,000 thing. So like just make sure you contextualize it with bigger value. You can probably make more money to share generated revenue rather than just upfront if you're not desperate for upfront money. As a general rule, the less you need clients, the more they come to you. In fact, ultimate story on that, there's a famous copywriter, Gary Halbert. He's dead now, but after like 20 years, he had a hat he would wear that say clients suck. And at the end of his presentation, he would say, just so you guys know, I have too many copywriting clients. I don't want more. I don't need more. Don't follow me into the bathroom. Don't ask me if you can hire me. No, you cannot. You cannot give me money. I don't care about your project. I don't want to. I'm just showing you some copywriting stuff. There'd be a line of people 100 long in the bathroom stall going, hey, Gary, I know you said you're not looking for clients, but I have this project, right? So I think that the less you need clients, the easier it is to get them. The more desperate you are to like need the money, the more you'll kind of push them away. I think the same thing is true in romantic relationships. The more you're like desperate for a partner, the more you come across as weird, the more you just like, I don't need anyone. I've had this experience, and maybe you guys haven't, where I'll go through a period of life where I'm single and then I get into a relationship. And as soon as you get into a relationship, like women come out of the woodwork and we're like, hey, I wish I had known. I'm like, well, where were you at when I was single for 3 years, right? Like, where were you then, right? But it's the minute you don't need it, it starts coming to you. To get them at the peak time of interest, is the send video process automated after they indicate interest? You can automate it. We do some of that. I don't always do it the same way. I just make sure to really understand what it is they want and what they're after. But yeah, you can certainly automate it. So like there's tools like ManyChat and Go High Level where they can say, I'm interested, and then immediately it sends them a video and starts it. You guys are buttering me up. Saji, I saw you got a question. I don't know if you want to type it or just say it, but you can go ahead. Do I go after companies in Angie's List or similar other services? Yeah, more or less. I want to know they're already spending.
You can hear me out.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Well, here's the situation. I followed one of your suggestions where I put a a hand raiser in my Facebook group, and a guy responded, and it came to a meeting. I had a nice, good meeting about setting up his back end structure. He sells stuff on webinars and everything, and I haven't heard from him in a while, and I wanted to do a follow up, but then you just mentioned something about doing a follow up as far as with an ID or something. Should I just be like as a loom, or like what would you suggest? Because if I get this job, it's a 5 figure deal.
Yeah. So what I would do is like I always start any follow-up with whatever had them interested in the first place. So like my version of that is mitigation jobs. So like he was trying to get you to do some back end stuff, but there was something specific they were trying to sell, like program ABC. So I would just be like, "Hey dude, I had an idea to program ABC. I was thinking about like this kind of email would work really well, or this kind of retargeting ad would work really well." And that's how I do it, like without coming across as weird or desperate. It's just like, "Hey bro, I had another idea for you." By the way, ideas are never unwelcome.
All right, cool. Yeah, because I think now he's shopping around that he got an idea what my price range is. But so I just didn't want to like you said, seem desperate.
Yeah, totally. Andrew says this is perfect. I hate sales calls. I've learned actually from doing this that prospects told me they hated sales calls. So they're like, I didn't want to talk to you any more than you wanted to talk to me. It's like, yeah, I agree. Not chasing people totally. Love your attitude. Thanks, brother. Drilling down into $100 bill sub niches with this bot. Good. That's to me the real secret is when you know what they actually really want to sell and you focus your service on, I will help you sell the thing that you really want to sell. Immediately your shit gets more desirable because a lot of times people don't realize if you just bring them quote unquote more, like in HVAC, this is a thing that comes up because we just did a search on HVAC. A lot of these guys do like little shitty $89 tune-ups and small maintenance jobs, and after they pay trucks and gas and insurance and workers and health insurance, like they don't even make any money. So if you just say, I'll bring you more, they're like, I'm not even making money on the shit I'm doing. So it's a huge difference to say, I'll get you the $8,000 installs. And then obviously, like you got to change your deliverables, but usually not that much. It's like there's keywords, like if you're doing SEO, there's keywords that people are looking for repairs and there's keywords that people are looking for installs. Just aim it at the right keywords. Or if you're running ads, you can run an ad for an $89 thing just as easily as you can run an ad for an $8,000 thing. Focus it on the $8,000 thing. What about ResearchBot are you talking about? It's a paid thing. No, this is right here. Like this is a program I made, Carlos, that it'll just tell you like the problems in your niche and what they're trying to do and all that. No, it's the Francis bot. There you go. Could you please template and share the AI prompts? Yeah, it'll probably take me a day or two to do that, just so you guys know, but I'll send you guys the AI prompts as a template. So true, especially when you become a dad. Yeah, since I become a dad, I'm like, I want to spend more time with my kids and less time trying to convince people to do shit on calls. See you, Aaron. Instead of showing images when explaining my step, can I just show my screen on how to you can certainly do that, especially as long as you're showing them like real stuff. Like what a lot of people do is like you got to understand like they don't believe us as marketers. So like a lot of what I'm trying to do is make this real. What a lot of people try and do is they try and make it sound cool. So I'll give you an example. Like we've sold houses through video and not like retail stuff. We sell like investment properties. So investment properties, people want to know two things. Okay. They want to know like what price am I getting it for and what it's worth. Like in other words, how much money can I make off this deal? And then they want to know the condition of the home because they got to fix it. So I have a lady, her name's Nicole. She drives around and she makes videos. And when people make videos, a lot of times they're these overproduced corporate like at Frankie Finn Estates, you will be in the ultimate of luxury. And that just sounds like bullshit, right? Ours are, let me show you what you're gonna have to fix. Yeah, you can see there's some mold down here. There's a little issue with the foundation. I don't know how serious the foundation is. You can see the drywall's banged up over here. There's a couple shingles on top, and we show them like in full detail like what you're actually buying. And so um as long as the process you're showing them is real and you have to get away from trying to make your shit sound cool and make it sound real. Like, okay, this is what I'm actually showing them in this. Is this what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to go after these keywords. I'm going to change your listing. I'm going to put these jobs and you got to go drive and quote them. So as long as you show them the process, but you do it in a way where what you're showing them is real, it's totally fine. For GRB, would each rep have a general Loom video or niche custom per rep? Um, depends how many services they have, but I've helped a few companies that have multiple sales reps, and how we use it is we usually send the Loom videos before the sales talk, and it's just one the same for everybody in the company, and it makes it like 1,000 times easier for them to close stuff. In fact, I encourage them just to fire all the reps, but they didn't want to do that. So, would you recommend remarketing ads if you place the Loom on a website? I do personally, Eric. I believe in this day and age that people have more distraction than ever, and they need to see the offer a few times. So I'm big on like show it to them 7 to 10 times before we officially count it as a no. Where you were gonna share some of your other custom GPTs. Yeah, what are you guys looking for? I got a million GPTs to do a million different things. Yeah, I'll get you guys templates for the the images so you kind of know what to do. But I want to just articulate with the images. What most people get wrong is they try and show big results. I'll make you $300,000. I'll get you 100 people this month. And it tends to work better if you show them one. One is just like it's so much more understandable to them. Right? So here, I didn't show them a million people. I showed them one homeowner saying my shit's fucked up. Sorry, go ahead, Jimmy. I don't know. Was that you, Jimmy V, trying to say something? No. Read your book. Love it. Can we record the slide as a video and run Facebook ads? You can. As I say, if like a lot of times people ask me, what's the next step sequence? And the truth is, if you really know what they actually want, you can actually break a lot of the rules and things like that. And if you don't know what they want, like it don't matter what order of steps you want. If you just say, I'll get you more $89 tune-ups, they will not buy from you, by the way. Yeah, hold on. I have one for hand raisers. Let me just find it for you. A lot of what a hand raiser is and why most people can't do them is you have to translate your service into problems and outcomes for them and not talk about the thing. So like somebody said, how do I sell a database reactivation or how do I sell a GHL AI bot? Well, that's your problem. You're trying to talk about your thing. They're never going to care about your thing ever. But if you can talk about, the implant cases you can book into the calendar using your database reactivation or the spam calls you can eliminate, then suddenly they care. There you guys go. There's a hand raiser bot for you guys who want one. Yeah, if you want to share your slides and get roasted, go for it, Andrew. Is there a service you'd like to sell? Database reactivation as a door opener, and then I'll show you what I like to do to open doors. And this is not, so if you talk to 100 different businesses, they're all going to tell you the same thing. They're going to say, we want more new customers, patients, clients, whatever. And it's not that they're lying, it's just that they're wrong. They think the way to grow their business is to get more new people, and they assume they have every lead ever optimized. So, like, say I was doing this for a restaurant. There's like complete strangers that have never eaten at the restaurant. There might be people who follow their Instagram page. There might be people who've said, can I book a party next Friday? There's people who like actually scheduled and got reservations. There's people who almost bought, came in and said, oh, it's too full and left. There's people who bought it a while ago, once ate at the restaurant. There's people who bought it recently, have eaten there this week. And there's people sitting in the restaurant buying it right now. If I want to generate a result for a business, what I do is I just work this process in reverse. So they're going to tell you, I need you to drive the ball 450 yards. And I know it's the opposite. So like if I was doing this for a restaurant and I wanted to make money, the first thing I would do is I would offer something extra to the people sitting in the damn waiting room, right? Or eating dinner. I'd say, hey, we got a special tomorrow. Do you guys want to pay for dinner again this week? Or, hey, we got dessert. And you got to get a little creative with this, but like I would offer something else to the people who spend money. So we have a guy, for example, in the mastermind. His name's Steve. He goes with solar companies and he finds people who just invested, 50 grand in some solar panels, and he offers them a $20,000 maintenance package. And he gets a $2,000 commission every time he does it. He does this for really big solar companies in Australia. And it's an easy sale because they just bought solar panels. He says, well, they break down over time. You're going to need to change batteries and you're going to need to update them. Sometimes the weather will fuck them up. He says, if you want, you can just buy the maintenance package now and we'll come every 3 months and repair anything and you can just prepay it all in advance. And that's the easiest sale in the world. So if I wanted to generate them quick money, I would sell to the people buying it right now, which is even easier than database reactivation. Database reactivation is people who bought it recently or a while ago. But that's basically if I want to get my foot in the door and move the needle, I focus on something they got right now. As a general rule, it's like I just work the golf course in reverse, and they assume this is all optimized. Give you an example of this. Mark Diodati came to me. He was in HVAC, and he said, "I'm running Facebook ads for these guys, and it's not going really well." And we got into like a conversation. I was like, "Well, what did you do before this?" And he said, "I was actually in HVAC. I sold." And I said, "Were you any good?" He said, "I was the top salesperson 10 years in a row." I said, "How did you do that?" And he said, "Well, what I did is I focused on when people would, I'd give, for every 10 presentations I would give, 3 people would buy the system." And he said, what most people do is they just throw away the other 7 people. But I would wait a week and I'd call them back and say, was it just a money thing? And they would say, yeah, it was just a money thing. And he would say, could we finance it? Like, could I lower the price? Is there a way I can get you to buy the system? And he said, when he would do that, 1 or 2 more people would buy the system. So there's a name for it in the industry. Not many people do it, but they call it rehash. So I looked at him and I was like, Mark, why are you selling Facebook ads over here where you're mediocre as fuck and you're one of 800 other companies competing when some of these companies have like hundreds of fucking turndowns every month that almost buy? Why don't you just do for them what you did for yourself and call those people and just ask, was it a money thing? And he did that and he switched to, I'll be your rehash guy and I'll follow up with anybody who said no to you. And you just have to pay me a commission when it works. He signed 20 clients in the first week he offered it. So when I want to get my foot in the door, I'm like, I always work this process in reverse. So in his case, he was working with the almost bots. So I hope that answers your question, but that's to me the fastest way to get your foot in the door and create a meaningful result. Appreciate that, Daniel. The GOAT. Flex on that one, buddy. Do you have a specific generic Loom script with blanks that we can fill out? Hi, I'm in this video. I'm going to show you how to get blah, blah, blah. Not necessarily. I probably should make that, Frank, but I don't necessarily have that. Did you ever do marketing events of events? I'm assuming that's events and you just got a little typo. I've done a few, Derek. I used to do a bunch in legal, and now I do a few agency events. They're a lot of work, but you can sell a lot of shit if you do events. In my opinion, do I think pay per live transfer still works well? Yes, but Moin, it's not about the live transfer. It's about who you're transferring, right? Like what kind of person are you getting on a live call? That matters to them than the fact that you're going to assist them with those calls. Like for local businesses, yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you're asking like Rebecca's model where she does those things. I've never like actually like sold that as a service, but that's not true. We actually did we played around with a referral event back in the day where we'd help personal injury lawyers like have an event where they would get all the ideal referral partners in a room, which you just tell them, hey, there's going to be other cool referral partners. We're having a get together at the bar. Do you want to come? And it's just mostly just inviting. So converting leads, lists, calls, visitors. Yeah, exactly. They're Andreas, they're always sitting on assets they don't know they can use. Can you talk about applying this formula to selling a website to someone who has a service business? Maybe they have Google business profile, but they don't have a website. So I'll tell you a story on that, Carrie. I used to sell websites in the beginning, and I sold websites as websites, and I would sell them for $500 to $1,000, and I got all kinds of pushback on it. One day, plastic surgeon said to me, he said, I really want to get some mommy makeover patients. He said, do you think you can make me a mommy makeover website? And for those of you guys who made websites, like it's just different pictures, different copy, but it's the same shit, different pile. I was like, yeah, of course. He said, do you think people go to Google and they search for mommy makeovers? And I pulled up the Google keyword tool and I was like, yeah, they do. He said, do you think you could rank for this? I said, oh yeah. I pulled up like just an example search. I was like, this is actually easier than the stuff we're going after. And he was like, okay, here's 10 grand, build it. And I was amazed because up until that point, they were always like, send me proposals and get me, like I was always chasing them. And that was the first time I do was just like, here's a $10,000 check, go do it. And what I realized through the process, not immediately, by the way, it took years to figure out what I had actually is in his mind, he was buying mommy makeover patients, not a website. So that's why I say again, you're not selling what you think you're selling. If you can figure out the kind of person you're going to bring them, and if you don't know who you're going to bring them, run that market research bot. What does this even mean? I can't see what that says. Oh, that's just because when I built it, so ChatGPT upgrades their models every now and then, but when I built this bot, it was on version 4.0, but it'll just upgrade. There's nothing you need to do. Thanks. It's been super helpful. Cool, guys. I'm excited for you guys to do this. What's the biggest people make mistake with their first diagnostic Loom video that kills the client's momentum before they even start? Not sure if this is what you mean, Milo, but the two biggest mistakes I see is they start the video saying, "Let me tell you about my service." You're not telling them about their service. They don't wake up going, I need services. The second biggest mistake is they get to the end and they don't tell people how to buy it. So like you actually make a good presentation and they couldn't give you money if they wanted to. And then the third thing they do is they read the script like robots instead of being like, an actual just human speaker. So reading it like a robot is like, hey, my name is Frankie. In this video, I will show you how to get mitigation calls like the one you are seeing now. Step 1. This works well if you are this type of person. So if you read it like that, those are the three biggest things I see is like either people start the video saying, I'm going to tell you about me instead of I'm going to tell you about a result that you can get that's meaningful to you. Like this is a really clear point is when people get this wrong, they think the video is supposed to be telling people who you are. Rather, what you're supposed to be telling them is what this thing is going to do for them. So it's about them and not you. Those are the three biggest things I see over and over when people send me these videos. Got to run. Awesome as always. See you, Todd. I'm impressed. Your book helped me already. I just need a few clients, then I'll subscribe to your program. There you go. I'll tell you something that Andreas, that helps people get past the first few clients is a lot of the reason why people say no to you in the beginning and ask for all these case studies is because they don't see a clear path forward. So the example like I like to use is imagine I got two guys coming to my house to give me a quote on building a deck. And deck builders are like marketers, like contractors are like marketers where they have a bad reputation. Imagine the first guy, he looks at my deck and he says, it'll be $5,000. Or he looks at my backyard and says, it'll be $5,000. And then I say, well, can you send me some case studies? Can you send me some referrals? Can you tell me some other people you've done this for? Flip side of that, the second contractor comes in and says, hey, Frankie, can I tell you what this will look like if we build a deck together? And I say, sure. He says, well, it sounds like you really just want to have some backyard barbecues. Well, just so you know, the first thing that we're going to do right now, I'm going to have the boys measure this out so I know exactly how much material we need. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my guy down to Home Depot. He's already going later today. The prices of lumber have been fluctuating, but I'm going to get him to measure exactly how much material we need. And then we usually need a little bit extra, 10% extra, just so we don't run out of stuff. I will send you an exact quote to the penny for how much it would cost. If you give me the thumbs up and say that's good and we're good to go, what I will then do is we'll come down on Friday and we'll start building. Now we're going to be kind of loud. We're going to be clanging and banging. So I wouldn't recommend you have any meetings or calls that day. And we're going to put in the frame first. So you'll see the frame and the outside pieces go in and all the railings and stuff. And then we'll put in the floorboards and those pieces. And then I'm going to sand it and finish it. And then when that's done, I have to stain the whole thing. You will not be able to walk on it for a day, but when that's all finished, a day or two later, you have a brand new deck. It's going to be 5Gs. Would you like to get started? Can I give you a quote? What happens is I don't ask for case studies and proof because he's already demonstrated. So like what trips a lot of beginners up is they just tell them the price and the person can't see a clear path forward. And then they ask for case studies and you ain't got them and you don't know where to go with it. And so what you want to do is whatever your service is, like be clear. I'm going to go after these keywords. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to run these kind of ads. This is what we're going to do next and show them like, I know how to build a deck and you demonstrate it and they stop asking. Would you recommend building a website first before sending the looms? MedSpa space will be brand new and I'm starting from zero. If you do build a website, I wouldn't spend more than a few hours on it. Like a lot of times people like spend fucking months trying to get their website perfect. And by the way, the market research bot you guys have, it'll actually write website copy for you. So it'll in their voice. Why did I stop selling the mommy makeover sites? Or you figured it out? You just couldn't rinse and repeat. I only stopped selling it to be, if you want to be real, Tom, I'm at my dear friend Hamilton Souther's ayahuasca retreat, and I kind of went through like a little bit of a midlife crisis in there because I was starting to my agency was really successful financially, and I was miserable as a human being. Nobody really talks about that, but I was working 80 hours a week. I hated the clients. I didn't really care that I didn't really like selling plastic surgery. I was overworked. I never had a break from it. And I came down here and drank some crazy jungle concoction and realized I just didn't want to do it the rest of my life. So that's why I stopped. I literally saw my own tombstone in a vision, and it said he was good at building backlinks and making websites. And I was like, yeah, I don't want that to be my life story.
Frankie, I just finished your first book and I'm on your second one. So thanks, bro. It was good to meet you in Boise too. And I was curious. I'm like, you nailed it. And then as you started talking more about the lifestyle stuff, I was like, that resonated hard with me. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I only know that just, from like not having the lifestyle in the beginning. It was just like you can easily build a prison for yourself with this business. Not a lot of people talk about it, but some of the most miserable people I know are people with $1 million agencies that never have 5 minutes to wipe their own ass without their phone going ding, ding, ding. What's the maximum time? So my first couple of copies were 5 minutes, and I did them 5 minutes because um, I was only using the free version of Loom and I didn't know it would work. And I've had this experience. I don't know if you guys have had this where I sign up for a software and then I end up using it one time, and then a month later I forget about it. And then all of a sudden, 7 years later, I realize, oh my God, I've been paying for this software for like 7 years. So my first Loom videos were 5 minutes or less, only because that's exactly as much time as Loom gives you. But having said that, it can be as long as it needs to be. Just don't be boring. Just don't like make it go on and be longer than it needs to be. And a lot of it, if you're too long, it's almost always because you're trying to talk too much and you're not showing it enough visually. If you're showing it visually, you actually don't need a lot of words to make your point, right? Like if I show you an example of in this case with a lip filler, hey, we can get you lip filler off of Facebook. Like the image is actually doing most of the heavy lifting in this presentation, not me, saying it with a bunch of, words and jibbity jabbity. Tell us how you do research for specific lead availability. I mean, I use the same tool that I built for you guys. That's why I first built it for myself before I built it for anyone else. I was like, because people kept telling me like, oh, I sell database reactivation and I didn't always know everything about every niche. And so I was like, I needed to get up to speed in like 10 seconds. And I was like, well, what do I want to know? And I'll show you guys exactly what I wanted to know. Where is it? Right here. No, that's not it. Hold on a second. And of course, I also like to ask people, but this is what I like to know is I want to know problems they face. I want to know what they're doing now to try and get people. I want to know what they don't like about it. I want to know the questions they're asking to themselves that they don't say out loud. I want to know the competitors that concern them. I want to know their $100 bills and the things they really want to sell. And I want to know why they're afraid of giving me money so I can address those fears and worries and doubts. And by the way, because you guys asked, um, this will generate website copy as well if you want. If you can, most people when they make websites, they make them about the wrong person. They try and tell people who they are. Our company is, we do blank, blank, and blank. And if you're making a website for med spas, it needs to be about med spas. Hey, are you doing coupon clipping, cheap fillers, and those kind of things? I would say if I look at 100 agency websites, 97 of them are about the wrong person. They're trying to tell people who you are instead of what it's going to do for them. So this will write it based on their problems and their issues and what they're doing and what they don't like. Probably won't be interested in this if you don't want more of XYZ. Get it? Thanks, Frankie. So as a recap, what do the noobs need to do ASAP to get moving towards their first sale? Like Daniel, step one to me is figure out what they want. If you can nail that piece and you can get them to raise their hand for it, you're in business, like for real. And so to me, like I would run this thing. I would find something that I think I could generate a result for them in, and then I would start friending those people and put a hand raiser in front of them to see if they were interested. And if they will, like you just need to go deeper in conversations. Yeah, of course you're the noob. That's okay though, dude. We all start somewhere. How's the retreat going, by the way? Well, Derek, it's It's never not interesting when you're having like mystical experiences night after night. So ayahuasca saved my life as well, years in the Peruvian jungle. There you go, Jose, he knows. Derek, I'm
Hey,
on
Frankie.
just because you asked him on a dieta. So been partying with trees. Sorry, go ahead, whoever that was.
Oh, yeah. So when I was asking about the doing research for a market research, like the numbers, how do you how do you know, do you,
Did I lose you? Did I freeze or is that? Do you guys still hear me?
I hear you. I don't hear him.
Okay.
I can hear you, Frankie.
Okay.
I hear you, Frankie.
All right. Is 9 minutes too long? No, but just don't make it a boring 9 minutes. My buddy's book. I'm going to check that out. Same week became a Palm Springs millionaire, was diagnosed with metastatic liver cancer. Good read. Very cool. Are you doing the looms horizontal or vertical since most people use their phones? I do them just horizontal. Like I record them on a computer and then sometimes people watch them on the phone. But again, like I don't think that's a main detail. I'm not saying that all those things matter, but I think if you actually know what the person wants, that's like actually the biggest detail that most people miss is, and I think part of the reason is in an internet business, we have really high margins as a general rule compared to most businesses. It's the besides like the two coolest things are we have high margins and you can do it from anywhere. And that means if you added 10 clients this month, your revenue and your take home would probably go up. That's not always true for a local business that has to pay guys and health insurance and gas and building costs and staff and supplies and materials. So a lot of times we project our desires onto our clients and we just assume I want more, so they must want more. And they do want more, but they want more specific things where they actually like have margin and meat on the bone. And, you know, like if you're a dentist, would you rather do, I don't know, 300 checkups for $99, or would you rather do 130,000 set of veneers and be done after an hour and make the same money? Right. So like if you just show up and go, we got you more leads and more sales and more customers and more patients like everyone else, you're missing the, hey, I'll bring you the $30,000 thing and float the cost too for the restoration guys dealing with insurance. Yeah, totally. In certain industries, as Larry just mentioned, like not only are they small margin shit, but they wait for it. Like a dentist, he does a $99 checkup and he gets reimbursed by insurance. And it's often weeks before they get paid that $99. So they float the money now and then they're the bank for like 3-4 weeks. And then eventually the insurance writes them a check. They don't want more of that, just so you know. But if you bring them a cash paying $30,000, give me shiny new mouth kind of thing, like those are always welcome. That's paying for my golfing trip kind of thing. Dentist money, right? So you want to focus almost always on bringing them the right people. Like that's one of the big secrets of all of this is that we know what they actually want and therefore we can speak to like that and then it makes your stuff immediately different, right? Like when I did this for personal injury lawyers, everybody said, we'll do SEO, we'll make you a website, we'll get you more clients, more clients, and more clients. And I know from experience that a lot of the smaller cases, like they can barely even pay their paralegal and keep the doors open. So when I said, I'll get you motorcycle cases, which is a more high value case, not only does that stand out, but I'm literally the only one in the marketplace saying it. And all it changed, it was like not much. It just we aimed our ads slightly different. We ran a different type of ad, but it was like, it was still just Facebook ads. Bob says, how to get the availability of number of leads like mommy makeovers in a city. Um, how I found that out is inside of Google Ads, I'll show you they have a keyword tool and it'll tell you like kind of the search volume. By the way, I'm going to show you guys a little brag moment about my YouTube ads. As you guys will see, I have the numbers I get on my YouTube ads are like straight up fucking crazy. I still get 5-cent clicks by the hundreds of thousands in 2026. And this is my account's in Canadian. So that's really like 3.75 cents in real money. But they have a tool in here. Is it insights and reports? Where is the damn thing? Tools. somewhere in here. They move this shit around. You don't actually have to be paying for ads, by the way, to look at their keyword tool. I don't know where they moved it. I think it's right here. Keyword planner. This is what you want. That's how you can find out how much volume is available. Is you give a few seed keywords like mommy makeover Denver, and it'll tell you the exact search volume for those like month after month. Would you still offer $100 offer to give them an easier step in, or do you go for the kill directly? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Simon, but like, um, as a general rule, I try and just keep it simple. It's like we just do this one thing. Sam Carlson, a dear friend of mine, he calls this, for those of you guys who are on UpHex, he calls this ad franchising. And the other reason to do this is that it scales like really easily because you're not doing 27 different things for 27 different clients. Like in the beginning, anybody who had a credit card and said, "Hey, Frankie, could you help me with blank? Can you run ads? Have you ever made a website before? Do you guys know how to edit videos? Have you ever made this kind of graphic?" I said yes to all of it as long as I reasonably thought we could do it. And I was constantly reinventing the wheel with every client. In my second agency, I was just like, no, we just do Facebook ads to help you get motorcycle cases. That was it. Like I didn't do 27 different things. And what happened is when I would find one ad that worked for one client, I would give the same ad to every client. I was just like, so I wasn't solving like 30 different problems for 30 different clients. I was solving one problem and then dispersing it 30 times. And so sometimes I could spend an hour, come up with a winning ad, give it to everybody, and like I'm done for the week. That's it. That was my contribution is we came up with one killer ad. So part of the reason I like that as well is like once you actually start getting a bunch of clients and they're closing, is that you don't have 87 moving pieces. And the less moving pieces you have, the easier it is to scale. Like I can think of Kyle, who was our first Wolfpack mastermind guy. And Kyle's one of the things he was doing is he said most of his clients had bad websites. And so he was doing SEO. And so he would redesign their websites so it would convert for SEO reasons and like, be optimized. And he said it was just such a pain in the ass doing the websites. And one day I said to him, I was like, Kyle, what's actually moving the needle? And he said, oh, it's the GBP. And I said, why don't you double down on the GBP and just fuck off with the websites? And so he stopped doing the websites. And what happened is the whole business scaled 100 times easier once he had like 75 less moving pieces. He was trying to optimize for like 800 things and build a team. And I was like, once we stopped doing all that shit, he just had one thing to do: get control of their GBP and make it work. Everybody who registered for this, I'm going to send like a reply to the Google Calendar invite with the replay when it's ready, the GPTs, as well as I will templatize the AI prompts for you guys so you can create these images yourself.
Frankie, quick question here.
Yeah.
Regarding the GBP or other stuff. Sometimes it appears to me that this stuff doesn't really make sense in retainer because, I mean, you have to do it once and then it's in a more or less good state. But then having customers pay the same amount of money every month, will they stay long? Because for me, I'm thinking once they have it, they'll be like, okay, thank you, bye-bye.
You think so, but I promise you that's so you have to kind of like get a little insight into their world. So like when you're a single solo internet person, a lot of your decisions are made by money and they have to be, right? Like that's just where they're at. Like where you're at is like if you can save $300 and eliminate a software, like you do it. If I'm a plumber and I got a team of 12 and I got 3 trucks on the road and I'm driving around like unclogging toilets, yeah, I could save $1,500 a month if I cut you guys out, but that just gives me one more thing to deal with. And it's a thing that it's like not in my wheelhouse. Now, having said that, like what you're asking is a complex question because I've learned retention actually has more to do with client experience and less to do with like results. Meaning like you send them a gift in the mail and you give them like timely updates and they know what's going on. That actually keeps clients more than great results. The story I use that's an example of this. I have a friend who, or I was my old house in Mexico. I have neighbors that are like they're snowbirds, so they're there like 1 month a year. They come for winter and then they leave. And it was all like new construction where I lived. And I talked to a guy about building his house. He was a neighbor, and I said, hey, dude, how's it getting your house built? And his answer still makes me laugh to this day because he looked at me and he said, it was the worst fucking experience of my entire life. And I said, really? Why? And he explained he sent his life savings to a stranger in Mexico, sight unseen. So he like had never been there. And I said, what happened? And he said, I didn't hear anything back from them. And I said, so like you can just like radio silence, like you wired in his case, it was $250,000. You wired $250,000 and then nothing. He said, nothing. I said, what happened? He said, like 3, 4 months later, he got a thing in the mail and it was like an engineering thing and it was all in Spanish. And he said, I brought it to my Spanish speaking friend and she said, this is too technical. I can't read this. So I said, what happened? He said, a year later, I came down to look at the house and I said, and then what? And he said, oh, the house was built perfectly. So he got a perfectly built house. He gave money for a house. He got a house. It was done exactly as expected. And he said it was the worst experience of his life because the communication was lacking. So he was left in the dark and wondering. So I promise you that the bigger a business gets, the more it becomes a necessity to have good people, and the less they want to replace those good people, the less they want to figure out things themselves because it just takes them away from their main thing. Having said that, like retention is a complex topic, and there's a couple of things that go into it. But it's tempting to think I would save $1,500 and cut myself out. Therefore, they would do the same thing. And if your shit's working and you're good at communicating, and you have a good client experience around it, like it makes no sense for them to try and replace you.
Cool.
It's
Thank
1:30
you.
in the Philippines. Got to go. See you, John. Yeah. And I would focus on the specific types of tenants that they want. And if you're not sure who that is, just ask them. Say, who makes for the best tenants? Like, don't make it a sales pitch. Just ask them. They'll tell you. And then I build an offer going, those are the tenants I bring. What are the odds, right? Going to be at the 7FA in March. I probably am not going to go to the March one just because we got some family travel, but I'll probably be at the next one after that, whenever that is, 3 months later. But I'd love to see you in person, Larry. If you're coaching someone on how to record their own sales loom after an intro call, what's the one thing you make them nail before the outcome? Like that's it. If you don't know what you're actually like, people have wishy-washy outcomes. That's why I showed you guys in the beginning. Like people say shit like most people don't know what their outcome is. This is why look at this. Local SEO. Is SEO your outcome? No. Here's another let me show you some of the like these are not outcomes. We're going to build citations for you. We're going to fully manage. We're going to replace your Yext. Are you struggling with backlinks? When they miss those, the sales are hard because there's no plumber who's going, man, I'm really struggling with my backlink strategies, or a dentist who goes, I wish somebody could help my backlink strategy. Anyways, guys, I think I'm going to bounce here just because we got some food here, but I'm going to send you guys all the replay and link stuff. And you guys have other questions, like you know where to find me. You guys can always hit me up. You're doing a 60-second YouTube video. Where you walk and talk or show images like in the Loom? Usually it's just walk and talk. And then I might tighten it after. Appreciate you guys all sticking around this long. We got 70 of us still 2.5 hours later. You guys are awesome. I'm also going to put this on YouTube. So for those of you guys who are subscribers on YouTube, you'll see this there. Anyways, I'm going to go eat. Appreciate you guys.